welcome to Liberal 12th Man Show. And I am the Liberal 12th Man. And so are you, and that's why you're here. So we are also joined by some other Liberal 12th Men of their own, and that is the Irishman and Scouse Lee. Lee and Irishman. How are you doing, Lee?
Good, mate. Excellent. Looking forward to
Good.
it.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Make sure you can hear me. And Irishman, how are you doing today?
Very well, very well. Glad to be here, as per usual.
Okay. Oh man, so we're going to be doing a show. I think that was certainly it's an Irishman inspiration, but it's certainly something that once he said that had came up with the concept of or for the show, I think all of us really were quick to hop on board for it. So we are going to be going over the overrated, and we're going to make it overrated 11 basically at the end of the day. But we're going to give a list of overrated players that we think throughout the Premier League history of the game, these guys have just been, how can we say, just a little bit hyped up, to say the least. So we're going to be going on through that. We got some updates too. I've do some updates as well about some local news or the news of the day as well today. Before we hop into that overrated, into the overrated show, there's some news out there that I think is important. I guess because I know a lot of us are still waiting to hear what is going to be the outcome for this Zubamendi news. We're also looking for the outcome for basically some players that are on the fringe of either getting loaned out, sold, or maybe not demoted, but cut from the senior list as pretty much. And then also maybe there's some other players out there that we're going to be bringing in that are out there that are on the verge of becoming Reds. So there's some news that we have out there, and I wanted to kind of get into some of it. Some of it's good news, I guess, and some of it's depending on how you look at it. And it is something that I think we should start off with. I guess we can start off with. I'm gonna make sure that I have the bring up the presentation box here so that you can see who we're going to be speaking on. One quick second. Nope. Bring this up. This is him. We're going to start it off by talking about obviously the guy I just spoke on, and that's Zubamendi. Apparently, Zubamendi was already in our DMs here. He's already texting us. Big up to Dustin, by the way. Big up to Zuby. Big up to Trap Joe. Big up to Bernie in the house already, showing love. Appreciate all of you guys. So yes, we're going to start it off with Zubamendi, the news of the day, the biggest, I guess, certainly the most talked about news for us right now. And what I have as some updates, and these are just updates that I saw via obviously Twitter and some reliable sources on Twitter. I took as big reliable sources as I can on Twitter, and that is that Martin Zubamendi is closer to leaving Real Sociedad than staying, as according to Mate Moreto, and that Liverpool are still working on Martin Zubamendi deal, pushing on the player side, aware of Real Sociedad's active talks with Zubamendi, trying to keep him at the club. Real Sociedad would also offer him a new deal if he ends up staying, but Liverpool are still there, according to Fabrizio Romano. And the last bit of news that I do have here is that, Liverpool's preference is to spread Martin Zubamendi's something that Brian brought up earlier, or brought up yesterday, and something I co-signed in thinking the same. Liverpool's preference is to spread Martin Zubamendi's transfer fee across the 4 to 5 year plan, 4 to 5 years, and are working on the structure of a deal the expectation is that he will join. So right now, that's the updates that I have for that. It's something that we all like to see get done and completed, and just like so we can all just basically move on and get focused on what will be in 7 days, I think, right? In 7 or 8 days, we'll be in the start of the new season. So crazy. We're like basically a week away from the start of the new season. Do any of these updates really bring you a little bit of like, calm, or are we still, or are you still possibly kind of, or leaning towards being pessimistic with the results? What are you thinking today? I'll start off with the Irishman. What are you feeling about the circumstances with some of this little news that's being put out there?
A little bit of no news, really. I mean, you can see what's happening. The whole talk from what everybody is saying that is linked to it, or here, it's that they are trying to make a play, for him to stay. Which, I mean, it might be him just going, don't make it awkward for me, don't make it hard for me. If he's decided that he wanted to leave, because apparently that's how the timeline went, was that he kind of thought he he agreed to it as much as he can agree to it. He said, "Yeah, I want to do that," and then now they're trying to say, "Well, please don't go." Almost like. But if we lodge the money and he signs the deal, then there isn't really a
Yeah.
lot they can do about it. But if we decide to spread it over, we want to talk to them. They're asking him, like, well, no, we can meet the deal, but it looks like he's all for the deal. So I think he's kind of showing a little respect to them, almost like when he's leaving and they're saying, "Look, why don't you stay?" And he'll say, "Right, look, I'll sit down for 5 minutes. We'll have a chat about why I'm leaving. I'm not just going to walk out and slam the door and say, I'm off to Liverpool." So he may be
Yeah,
giving him that
peace.
little bit of
Yeah.
respect, to sit down and go, "Look, I appreciate you want me to stay, but I'm 25. I've got this opportunity." It's very much like two people breaking up. I think that's where I'm looking at it. It's like it's as a long-term love of his life, but the time has come to move on, and he's decided that by all accounts. And I just think he's given them due respect by not just saying, flipping them the bird and hopping on a private jet to Melwood or Kirby. I keep saying Melwood. So
Mhm.
hopefully it's just a matter of him listening to them and giving them. I'm sure he'll take pause, to just say, is this the right thing? But when won't it? I think you really have to look at it. Everyone around him saying it's the right thing to do, but it has to be for him. So he's
Mhm.
got everyone in his ear. But it doesn't make me change my stance either way from yesterday. It seems like we're still in the same position, but it seems like I don't know. I think we're walking away if we think it's not going to happen, and we haven't walked away. So I don't think anything's really
Right.
changed. I just think it's a matter of time. Really, it seems to me. But you know what these things are like. The next thing someone will say, check Twitter, and it'll be Zubamendi signs new 6-year deal at Sociedad. Until it's done, you got to hold your breath a little bit, don't you?
Yeah. 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 Basically, and that's how I'm looking at it as well. It's just basically until you see until you see the ink is dry and he's holding up the kit, he's already gone through his medical. That's when we can basically see it. But I know there's a lot of like PTSD from the Lavia Casado deals that were going down, or the saga of that.
Well, it's
Um,
nothing.
yeah,
Technically, it's nothing like a Caicedo deal because there's no other club in for him. He had already agreed to join Chelsea, and we tried to buy him as well. So I mean, Mendy hasn't agreed to join anybody. It's about getting him to leave. He's
I
already
think
agreed to join
I
us.
differ. I think that it is the same because right now he's a player that is close to being able to either go to a new club or stay with this club. Now I know that Chelsea is I say that was going to either one of two new clubs. I understand that, but it's
No,
a matter
no, but
of
well,
finding.
that's what all
Allow
deals
me,
are
allow me
like.
to finish. Allow me to finish. Allow me to
Sorry,
finish.
yeah.
But it's a matter of, is he going to go with this club? Is he going to stay with his home club? Meaning, is he going to sign a new deal with this new club, basically securing himself with that new club? Either way, he's going to sign a new deal. That's my point. Like Casado was going to sign a new deal, whether it was with Chelsea or whether with us. That's how I'm looking at it. So he has a choice. Do you want to sign this deal with Chelsea or do you want to sign the deal with Liverpool? He chose Chelsea.
Well, that's two clubs. It's not his home club. He wasn't going to sign again with Brighton. I mean, he had already agreed to sign. That's like all transfers, but it's not. No, I just mean that we're the only club in for him at the moment. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he can choose. It's not like some other club. That's what we were trying to stop. It's like we're at the moment we're the only club in for him. He had already. If he had already agreed to join Chelsea, and we put in a bid for him, and that was accepted, and we tried to get him to join us, then it'd be. But it just at the moment it just looks like he's either going to join us or he's going to stay where he is. So, for instance, Caicedo's staying at Brighton. That's why they were trying to get this thing over, because as soon as people realize he's open to maybe leaving and what the prices are,
the only way that he's going to stay with them is if the way that they're trying to get him to stay with them is by offering him a new deal. Like they're trying to give him a new deal.
Oh well, yeah, but he might get a new deal or whatever. But what I'm saying is
that's a big difference though. If you all of a sudden say he's making like 60,000 a week. If all of a sudden Real Sociedad says, you know what, we're going to pay you 160,000 to stay or whatever, double or triple your wages, that's a major play to get a person to stay.
That's if he stays,
most likely have to do. It's not like, hey, just stay and we're going to continue to pay you 60,000 a week. That's a major difference. That's my portion of. That's at least my perception of why it's a different. It's slightly different. But I understand what you're saying too.
Yeah, I'm just saying I just think there's loads of other examples of where we've gone in for a player and instead we thought we had him and he decided to stay. Casado didn't decide to stay at Brighton. Mm-hmm. He was going to someone else. If someone could, that's what I'm saying. The only problem is someone coming in and just trying to get involved last minute. But I look at the clubs he's been linked with before. That's the only thing that would really worry me about this is if that became an issue at the end. After all of this, we went through all the trouble and all the bother of getting him to get it into his head to leave.
Someone else comes in and tries it.
Someone comes in and throws a bomb in the middle of it. And goes, here's double what Liverpool are going to offer you, or here's whatever it might be. But I don't know how strong everyone's putting two and two together with the Alonso links. It's the dream move and all of that. Mm-hmm. So hopefully if that's true, then we should have that type. But that's why I think they're sitting there going, look, we need to get this tied up now, sort of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's emotional. It's emotional. It's difficult. But, and, the season starts, like you said, in a week. And we can't have this out in the open for 5 days and it be basically he's on the market now. Come in and PSG come in and try and do something. So that's what worries me about these deals. It's not so much that, it's about that part of it being out in the open and other people sniffing around and causing problems.
Yeah, totally. Understood. Big up to High Lord. Big up to I thought I saw some other names that just popped into the chat here. Big up to everyone in the chat joining us today again. Redbird, so I saw Redbird. Big up. And is Red for Life here too? No, possibly he is, but all the same, yes. Big up to everyone joining us. Lee, I know it's your way, but what are your feelings on this subject? What are your feelings on hearing some of the? I guess as Brian said, it's like it's not really like groundbreaking news. It's pretty much stuff that we relatively already knew, but it's being again repeated by some of the more reputable names out there. What are your feelings on what I had to say about Zubimendi and what the circumstances are with this current limbo?
I am also worried that somebody else could come, lumbering in, somebody with more money or something like that, or a more attractive offer out of nowhere. But hopefully that won't happen. surely there must be a way we can get the deal done. If we're quibbling over how we're going to pay them, that doesn't sound great. That we're having trouble dumping up £52 million. I mean, I didn't think that. I thought we'd just be paying it, like. But apparently, we'll pay more if we pay it over a set.
Yeah.
But we'd be saving money if we paid for them directly, from what I've heard.
Mhm.
But if we pay over a longer period, it might cost us a bit more. That's what I heard before. So I don't know. We'll see. I just hope it happens. I didn't think we'd have that many problems dumping up 52 million. I mean, it's not exactly a king's ransom, is it? Like 52 million these days. It's not what it once was, like.
Yeah, certainly not. It's certainly not a lot. I mean, like, it's the release clause is not the big issue. The money is not the issue for the club or anything. I don't think that's an issue at all. We wouldn't, if working out the money was the issue, then that would be a different story. I will admit that the 4 to 5 year, transfer fee thing that they're trying to work out is a little bit different. That means that they probably would have to pay a little bit over that 51 million pounds, and that's certainly a negotiation that they'll have to embark on. They probably already, most likely they already did have that number already figured out and already most likely agreed to. But I mean, but 51 million, if that's the release clause, then it is what it is. If it's 4 to 5 years though, then that's a different story. That means it's not going to be the release clause. It's going to be a structured deal where they can pay it over 4 or 5 years. So let's say it's, hypothetically, it's 60 million that they pay. That would mean that for 4 years they'll pay 15 million a year for the next 4 years or something like that, or 12 million a year for the next 5 years. That makes a big difference when you're looking at how the books look, because now you're not having a 51 million pound knock against your books on 1 year. You're having 12 million or 15 million or whatever the number is.
Well, we've got the money in for Solanke, hopefully, then, if we get that quickly.
That's another deal that's been reportedly done. It looks like we're going to get around close to about 8 million pounds for that. So it's a nice bit of change. It's not necessarily going to make or break the difference of whether this deal goes forward, but it's definitely, hey, every little bit helps. You know what I mean?
I was watching a Redman stream about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and they were talking about players possibly being thrown in as part of the deal, maybe loans or maybe actual transfers. But
yeah, I don't
mentioned Vandenberg was mentioned.
I don't know. I've heard that too. I've heard that too. I was gonna say I heard that too as well with the deal, like as in, or at least I saw like a little piece of that segment, but like that doesn't. There's rarely swap deals rarely occur in football, and not only that, it ends up getting like kind of messy as well a little bit, because now you got to make hypothetically
they're going to agree to take
players. Now let's say hypothetically, I don't know this, I'm going to say pick any name. Let's say you had Gomez or you have someone like that, that you want to throw into the deal. Well, or Endo. Well, now Endo or Gomez has to say, I want to go to that club. It's not like you can just be like, oh, I'm going to put them in the deal and they have to go. They have to agree to want to go too, So it's not, that makes it, usually when you get into these swap deals, it makes it a whole lot more complicated.
Yeah, normally teams just prefer the money and then they can pick who they want to buy with the money, don't they? They don't want to be taking players on as part of a deal. Sometimes they do, but it's rare, isn't it?
Definitely so.
Very
there is, I just spoke of one other name. The name I just spoke of, actually. Let me make sure I have
like
the name I just spoke of that might have been, or that you could have possibly thrown into the deal, is someone that's name is once again popped up on the radar as a possible target by a club interested in his services, and that name is Joey Gomez. Mr. Gomez has now popped up on the radar of Aston Villa as now being extremely interested in pursuing Joe Gomez and bringing him in as a center back is what they're looking to bring him in as. I don't know what it is about. Like, I mean, I think a lot of people are recognizing Joe Gomez's worth. We can certainly see that with Newcastle's interest in him. With obviously now, I mean, these are teams that are towards the top of the Premier League, not necessarily like we're not talking about middle of the table, or if not bottom of the table teams, or or some different some I don't know. Some team that you probably wouldn't have thought of would have been interested in Joey in an Italian league or something like that. These are good teams in the Premier League that are interested in his services, and it makes sense because Joe has had a absolute rebound of a year with his career. He's admitted it that he was certainly in a somewhat of a bad place, not last year but the year before that, but with the help of his family and the help of his teammates and others, he battled through it, got himself definitely in a healthier state of mind, and it's certainly shown in his performances, especially this year, and in roles that we would not have necessarily thought that he would have been performing for us, which is like the left back role for us. Do you think that Villa's a good fit for him? Would you think that? I mean, like if I know that Newcastle came with the deal of their offer was like 40 something million, I think originally. That was like the previous year. I know that we do have a high evaluation for Joe. He is still got a good number of years left on his contract, so it's not like you're pressed into some we've got to discount his deal or discount his evaluation.
Well, he was in the Euro squad, wasn't he? He was at the Euros, mate. You know what I mean? And look at what they're saying.
Yeah,
like they want Wharton now and others who've only just arrived on the England scene. So you're not getting cheap. If you want them, you pay up. Not having no cheap deals for Gomez, like from anyone.
No, certainly.
We want don't want cheap offers. I don't want clubs taking the piss, coming in and making ridiculously low ball offers for him.
No doubt. Well, that's what I was about to get to. Is that my question was, or my question is to. I'll start off with the Irishman, then we'll go to Lee. My question is, do you think if Villa comes in with an offer of let's say 60 million, do you take it, or or whatever the?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. You you have been asking this question for 2 minutes. Is Villa Gomez to Villa? Is that good one? So I know what you're saying. I was gonna it makes total sense for the player, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's before we get into I just want to say, it makes total sense for the player. And if you get a big offer for him, it's a Champions League club, and he's going to play every week, probably. The price, the contract, and all that. But just on a quick base, if he's not going to play for us, he's worth a lot of money. He is pretty much what the Chelsea lads would call pure profit. Costs us 3 million quid. If you got 50 million quid for him, that's makes a huge difference to your books that year. So on all those levels, yes, definitely. If we're bringing in 2 or 3 players, but if you're not bringing in players, no. So no.
We got our own Zubi in the house. We got the original Zubi in the house. Zabiri. Big up Zabiri. Big up to Realism Jared as well. Big up, guys. Good to see you. Good to see you both. And what Zabiri was saying is true. I'm going to bring up High Lord. We have what I was about to tell you is that is something one of the topics I am going to bring up. But Zabiri is saying, sounds like the message here is don't undervalue our players. He says he supports that and take it even further. That's one of my biggest. That's
the Edwards way.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things I think that we need to do, just as a fan base too. I mean, I get that we don't necessarily have a say on the evaluation, but I mean, look, popular opinion and public opinion, I should say, does make some bit of a difference when it comes to how some of the evaluations get put out there, and I think.
Well, Hyler is pointing it out there. Look, we're good business, and good valuation means that today, when that deal goes to Tottenham, we get 13 million quid in the bank, just for planning and having strong valuations, and being good in the market and saying, no, you're not getting him for 12 million. He's going to cost you 18, and it's going to be 5 million more after a year. And if you ever sell him, we're getting 10% of that. So yeah, then just this afternoon, it's like a little royalty check, from that thing you wrote 10 years ago, comes in the door. That's good business. That's this is Michael Edwards type stuff. Good planning, getting the best of value. And yet no one is coming to our club anymore. And yeah, getting a Michael Owen for 16 million quid when he should have been 30, or getting, that's not going to happen anymore. Even for these, like whatever Endo's top market is, whatever the most he's worth, even if the most he's worth is only 16, we're getting 16 for him. No one's getting him for 9.
Right.
That's the way I look at it, hopefully.
Right. Which is the way it should be, but often, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The other part and point I was going to bring up is this is a matter of, like, I guess this could be a little troubling depending on how you really look at it. I'm bringing up this little next topic here. And that is, apparently, according to Dave Osikop, Stefan Bajcetic has been told he can leave on loan. So a lot of us have had Bajcetic being a integral part of this upcoming season, being someone that we're going to work into the lineup. Utilize the maybe tutelage of a Zubimendi, or or allow for him to basically blossom still under the graces of being, one, healthy, and two, being able to be with the first team for a full year. But apparently he's been told that he can go out on loan. What are your? I would just say, in overall, what's your feelings on this one? I'll start with Lee this time, and then we'll go to the Irishman. What are your feelings on this bit of news that Bajcetic has been told that if a loan offer comes in for him, that he can leave on loan?
I don't like this news at all. I'm nigh on incredulous at this news that we would allow him to go on loan when we've only got him and Endo, who can really play that position. That doesn't make much sense to me. Maybe if we have bought Zubimendi and that's what it is, he's been told that now. But I mean, I wouldn't see why would you want to loan him anyway. I mean, he can play like he doesn't have to play the 6. He can play further forward as well. And I like him. I think he's a really good option. Just don't see why you wouldn't want to have him around. Maybe it is because he's been out and we want him to go somewhere and get himself back together or something. Maybe that's the idea, if it's true. But I don't like that at all. No, we haven't bought anyone yet, so.
Yeah. How about for you, Irishman? How do you feel about hearing this news that?
Not ideal, is it? I mean,
he might be on the out.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't be up to him to find a club. It's not like, oh, you can leave on loan, now go and find someone. It would be more like,
right.
We're looking at what to do with you. But I'm sure, likely, this is probably 100% down to the fact that he missed a year of football, and it's the guy comes in and what we talk about shop window when we talk about training games and all of that. But this is what the manager had to make up his mind. So he's looked at certain players now and he goes, yeah, and no. And we're seeing now where he's looked at Bajcetic and it's the manager's call. Is it the best thing for him, whether it's fitness-wise or whatever the reasons might be, is to go and play somewhere for a year? If this is true, I think it is a bit disappointing because someone that we've been looking forward to seeing a lot, but that was probably one of the worst timed injuries there. Like, I think perhaps with a fully fit Bajcetic last season, he might be, not saying he'd be a starter, he's still only a kid, but he might have secured himself a place sort of, as a squad player. But obviously I think he's come in and just said, yeah, definitely best thing for you is this, which is definitely disappointing. And
it was a very difficult
just from a fan's point of view, But like Lee said, also, sorry, Lee, but he said we haven't brought anyone in, so it is a bit like, right, okay, does this mean, we know something's going to happen? Because I'm
Yeah,
not
I'd
saying he would have been
expect to hear this.
starting, but
Mhm.
Mm, I'd expect to hear this after a signing, not before.
exactly after we signed Zubamendi, this
Mm.
might make sense. It's like, oh, okay, we'd all be told, I can't wait to see them
Mhm.
play together, and then we look like idiots because he goes off on loan to Betis for a season or something. But um,
Maybe this
obviously,
was a result
that's
of like this. Maybe this is old news, just being because I mean journalists pick and choose when they're going to make some of these announcements. Some of this information they sit on for a little while before announcing it. They just don't want they just don't get in. Someone tells them something, they confirm it with a second source and then run out and tell the world. Sometimes they sit on it for a little bit. Maybe this was something that was connected to the deal being done, like you just mentioned, thinking that the deal was going to be done with Zubamendi, and that's why this was going to be out there. And now that the
oh, I
Zubamendi
get you,
deal
yeah,
isn't,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Now that the Zubamendi deal is in limbo, it's like one of those things of like, well, man, let's just put this out because now this puts a lot more intrigue into the into the story than when it was Zubamendi, because it would have made more sense. It makes a lot more sense, like you're saying, for it to be, oh, Zubamendi's coming in. Oh, it makes sense why maybe Bichetik's going to leave because Zubamendi's leaving or coming in. But Zubamendi is uncertain, and they're going to get rid of Bichetik. That's like, whoa,
and
wait a minute.
Endo,
Let me go read that.
Oh,
and
And
Endo's
Endo,
for
yeah,
sale.
yeah.
right, exactly.
Everyone,
It's like one of those situations. Yeah.
We're kind of selling the
So,
house before we've signed the contract on it. It's like we might be spending a night on the street here. You know, if we don't get
yeah, yeah,
this,
yeah,
it is seems we're clearing out very early. So it make you think.
yeah.
I
Yep.
really don't know. I really don't know because there's nothing worse than one of those. I mean, it's typical us to just go and buy or try and get the one player who is involved in a freaking Romeo and Juliet scenario with their club. That we isn't just someone we can just go in and trigger the deal and he's happy to come. It has to be, oh no, there'll be an emotional drama played out on Twitter now for 2 days. Will he? Won't he?
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
get that kind of stuff out of the way. So this is weirdly timed. The fact that he's leaving
Mm-hmm.
this
Exactly.
Dave O.C. Cop announcement at least.
Mm-hmm. There is one signing that is looking more likely to happen, and that is for this gentleman here, um, Mamar Dashvili. I got to get the name right. I got to be able to say it right if he's going to be possibly one of our future goalkeepers. Um, but Mamar is currently very on board. There were reports that other teams were going to try to get involved in possibly securing his signature. That has somewhat been negated by the reports that he is not only comfortable with being bought and loaned out, but also that he has put it out there that Liverpool is the team that he would like to go to. So, and the sheer fact that he, like I said, he's willing to go on loan, knowing that he's going to, I mean, it's that says something. That says like he's willing, he understands that it's the bigger picture, basically. Um, is it is it a what's the words I'm looking for? Is it a like sour grapes almost, I guess you could say? Is it the case where would you be like kindly slightly disappointed that this is the big announcement of a transfer, the first transfer being made before Zubamendi, or does this make you say I'm still excited? This is it might not be to the level of Zubamendi. He might not be the stature of Zubamendi per se, but this is still a big name transfer. I'll start with the Irishman first this time. How do you feel about this
No,
transfer?
it'd be great to bring him in. I thought it was very interesting. Romano was talking very strongly about how this is something he would like to do. This is something he's happy to do. This to me just spells, Allison replacement.
Mhm.
To get a guy in and we spend a year. Maybe Ali has said next season, when I've only 1 year left, I might take, that 7 million quid a week deal in Saudi or whatever it might be. And there's your next, I know, your next number one keeper lined up, ready to go.
Mhm.
It is always a big risk to, I mean, we did it with, again, I always remember the day that I found out we signed, in inverted commas, Naby Keita, because I was working somewhere and we couldn't have our phones or we didn't have screens. And it was like, oh, someone just kind of shouted at me, oh, Liverpool have to sign a Naby Keita because he'd come in from kind of the outside.
Mhm.
And so I went and I was like, oh, cool, right? So I, like, 5 minutes later, I went up to the room and got into like the outer area. You could choose your phone, and I looked it up, and it was like Liverpool signed Naby Keita, and he joins in 12 months' time. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Because I'd had like about 15 minutes to think about him joining and starting for us like in 2 weeks' time, and that was one of the most deflating experiences, as because we'd been after him for so long, and then it was like, oh, but we have to wait a year now. Do you know how much can happen in a year in football? This guy, we put down a record fee for him, like nearly 60 million, and we have to leave him at Leipzig for a year. That was just so different. That was a real gut punch. So this one, if you knew it was happening in advance, it's like, okay, bit of a weird deal, but nice forward planning. But that better not be the thing. I mean, that just better
Mhm.
not be the thing. That better be, yeah, great deal, good forward planning. But yeah, let's get on with other transfers. Let's bring in
Mhm.
these guys, you know. But I would love it as it's. I like him as a goalkeeper. I think he's great, and I really like the whole, like I said, forward planning of it aspect. But he stays at his club and on his third game does his ACL, breaks his leg. But look, that's life. That's football. You know,
Mhm.
I'm happy with it. I like it as a deal. It's interesting, and like I said, it says to me that we know that Ali potentially might be only
Mhm.
doing 1 more year. That's what it smells like to me. But anyway, hey, look. But yeah, like to your main point, no, we also need the other stuff, the now stuff, the the Zubimendi stuff.
Mhm. How about for you? How about for you, Lee?
About Mama Billy.
Yeah, is that a name that at least that perks up your spirits a little bit, saying, well, at least to hold me over, I guess you could say. You say it that way too.
Not really, because I'm not thinking of a keeper this summer, really. I'm hoping that we just stick with what we've got keeper wise. If he came, yeah, I'd be pleased. Obviously, if he came, there'd be a reason. Someone else would be leaving, wouldn't he? So we'd be losing Callagher most likely, wouldn't we? Well, when I say losing him, we'd be selling him because he wants to play more, and that's what it'd all. That's what it'd be, wouldn't he? Be the new number two.
Mhm.
But yes, he looks okay for Georgia. Yeah, he looked like a decent shot stopper. I don't know much about the rest of his game, like because I've not seen enough of him. But is
Are
he
they
not?
still paying by the letter, Lee? Are they
When I say I've
on
not
them
seen
certs?
enough of him, there is enough of him to see because he's a massive guy, like any. But
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I just haven't seen enough of Mohamed Billy to really pass judgment on how good he is. But he looked okay from what I saw of him in the Euros. I've seen some good saves, good shots, stopped.
Okay,
Is he
okay.
good on corners and that with his height? Is he? Do people know much about him in Monaco? Is it he plays in?
No, well, he is to answer Trap Joe, is Allison staying this season? The
Yeah.
likelihood that Allison will be here is high. I don't think that we're going to get, be looking to find an exit clause. And I think that even with the numbers that have come from Saudi Arabia, in dropping the inquiries about whether they could acquire his services, I still think that he is willing and wanting to stay. Um, and also YouTube name, I know Mama. I don't know if I'm gonna call him Mama. I don't know if I'm gonna call him Mama, but
You don't
yeah,
want to be shouting that out in the stadium.
yeah, no one's calling. No one wants to shout out "mama" to any grown man. That's definitely certainly not this case. There was something that I was going to bring up that High Lord brought up earlier, and it was very, very interesting because let me see. I think I have a graphic for it too. Let me double check. Um, it dealt with a certain club that I know that Brian hates particularly, but it was with, I don't have a graphic for it, but it was with Chelsea. Chelsea have apparently, um, whoops, Chelsea have um, apparently purchased Neto. They're going to be bringing in Neto. Um, I don't understand what Chelsea's plan is. Is it? I don't know. Is there going to be like a Chelsea B team or something that is going to be able to play together with the Chelsea A team at the same time? Because the number of players that they are accumulating, I have no idea what they're doing. No clue as to what they're doing.
They bought 3 since that graphic I sent you.
Yeah.
The graphic you went through last night.
Yeah.
They bought 3 since that. Neto.
I don't. What are they doing? Because there's only so many names that you can loan. There's only so many names you can bring in and then even loan out if you wanted to try to balance the roster that way. There's even if you were to max out your loans, you're still not going to get under the prescribed roster balance or roster.
They're going to start selling people.
So that means that means some sales are on the way.
Mm-hmm. And they're still in the market. They want another.
They're still in the market for they're still in the market for Osimhen.
Kind of, yeah. But they can do that deal, yeah. They can do that deal if they want. And they want to buy a striker.
Yeah. That makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely no sense. Let me see if I can bring up let me see if Tyler's comment was this. He says Liverpool clearly understand finance, which is key in this deal. Of course we could be stupid, FC or AKA Chelsea, and overpay £54 million for Pedro Neto. 51.4 million up front with a bonus or with the additional add-on of a 2.6 million pound add-on. He also goes on to say that's stupid business. I think that's like absurdly weird business. I'd be as polite and nice to go that far. I don't understand that deal. It makes absolute no sense to me, because not saying that Neto isn't a talented player. I'm not saying that yes, his injuries are concerned, or his previous injuries are concerned, but all the same, he had a great year last year, had some injuries last year, still all the same too. But this deal does not make any sense. I mean, it just doesn't make much sense. And I know that this is a player that we were possibly going to be looking to add on to our squad as well. I know that we were looking at maybe doing a double dip and bringing in Eight Nori and Pedro Neto, but we ended up obviously not pulling the trigger on either of those deals as of yet, or at least as of yet on the other half of this deal, since Pedro's already gone. What are your feelings on this deal, Lee? Or do you think Chelsea is looking like
Chelsea? Yeah, I mean, don't expect Chelsea to make sense. They are, by definition, an insensible club when it comes to things like this. They just spend money heedlessly. So I'm pleased about this. I liked Neto as well, and I said weeks ago on here, didn't I? He would have been a good salary placement if he wasn't a crock. But he's a crock, isn't he? He's a perennial sick note, and nobody wants that. We've had enough of them. We've just got rid of Thiago on big wages. Don't want that again. And that's what he is.
Well, last but not
Well,
not say last but not least, because I do have a bit of
well,
copium to bring up.
just on that,
You
I
want to
have
say
a
something? Good.
well, if I could, if you want, I was
No,
just
go ahead. I
thinking
thought
like,
you already did. I thought you
no, I
did.
didn't. No.
Go ahead.
It's a player who we all wanted in terms of his ability. Everybody was like, yeah, if he was fit, I'd take him. You know, if you could
Mhm.
see the future and say he stayed injury fit or free, because he's like we've all seen what he can do. He tore us to shreds, down our flank when we went there last season. He had a great day. So I think if you buy him and he stays fit, if we're just talking about was it unlucky, but I just think it's funny because people are slagging it off. But he's a 50 million pound, right?
Mhm.
51 million pound,
Mhm.
which say five years ago you could have said would be like say 45 million pound. He's
Mhm.
Portuguese. He's a winger. He
Mhm.
came from Wolves. He's got
Mhm.
an injury prone. Looks like he might be injury prone. I mean, that's just Diego Jota. Diogo
Yeah.
Jota. It's
There you
exactly
go.
the same player. Like,
Yeah.
so we put money down for a player like that. So I wouldn't be. I think Look, all the player they've gone out
Remember
and bought, it
Neto's
makes
bad
no sense.
injury last season? Can you remember Neto got injured
Yeah.
last season? He's
After
got
he
well,
after he
he's
played us.
running past somebody on the wing and pulled his hamstring, trying to run the long way round the fullback, then just pulled up on with his hamstring, and you could see it immediately. It was a bad one. No, you
Right.
don't want
Right.
that, mate. You don't
Yeah.
want a
Well,
hamstring type player.
no,
Right.
no. When we already have a couple, but it's a player on his day. If you're just talking about pure ability, and you said that you could get him, and he'd give you Salah minutes for 4 years, 50 million quid would be a shrewd investment. But because it's Chelsea, I mean, will he play? Will he start? Cole Palmer,
I'm
Mudrick,
interested. I'm
Nkunku.
interested. Yeah, I was gonna real quick add just to hear what you think or what you perceive would be the answer to this is that what kind of deal are they going to give him? What's the
Romano
contract?
probably put that out already. I'd imagine about 100. They don't pay big. They pay longer term. They don't
Mm-hmm.
go huge wages wise. Apparently, they
Mm-hmm.
try to make that up. So I know probably what would he have been on at Wolves? Maybe about 50 grand a week. Probably like double him to 120 or something. But I haven't. I mean, I've just seen him do the here we go done deal type thing. The length of the
Yeah.
contract, but nothing about money. I don't think. I'd imagine. Yeah, because I did notice that someone was saying like they don't actually pay stupid money. Like they pay stupid
Mm-hmm.
fees and they do stupid things. Yes, but they pay like someone else. Oh, we're only going to give you 100 grand a week, but it's a 7 year contract, not a 4 year
Right.
deal.
Right. Right. Right.
So that seems to be more their way of doing things. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
can't read. I just checking his Twitter there.
Yeah, I haven't.
Even
I did. Everyone has like basically the transfer, but they don't have the
yeah,
actual what the
yeah,
terms were, the agreed
happened very
terms.
quick.
That's what.
Happened very
Maybe
very
Hylor
quick.
knows. I know Hylor's very tuned in to a lot of those things as well. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know what.
know. Yeah, what he's Hyder seems to think he's giving a football economics lecture tonight. If you could, yeah, um, yeah, it came out quickly this afternoon. You see, that was a kind of an out of nowhere deal. Well, not an out of nowhere deal, but a very very quick deal. But I don't know. The important question, and the one I thought you were going to ask was if we were playing them next Saturday and they had all their players, who would beat us and say they were playing a 4-2-3-1, who would their front four be? Or if they're playing four, who would their front three be?
I mean, you just said it. You said when you gave me that list. I mean, they had 11 forwards, and now that this is
Jackson
saying
and
12 forwards.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
like I have no idea who plays on it. I have no idea who
Didn't you
plays
think
for
they had?
Sterling.
Chelsea next year.
Did they have 9 goalkeepers when you counted it?
Why not, Lee? Why not?
Which
Why
is
not
it?
have nine?
Your guess is as good as mine. You're about to say on that one. Your guess is as good as mine on that one.
If you're going to have seven, why not just have nine? You know,
Right? Right.
Jesus Christ! Like, I mean,
Long
some of
way
these
to
guys are going to be
Let
sweeping
me
up,
give a
cleaning the windows.
yeah.
They're going to be finding stuff. We'll look. I mean, you can't like even. There's too many to even be like because do you remember last year they had that issue where they had to open up a second dressing room and they had to open up a second first team training pitch because they had so
Oh, I
many
believe
players.
it. You realize that they have so many players that they would have to probably if they ever went. You'd be like, why is there a Chelsea guy in the visitors room? Oh, there's just not enough room, mate. Sorry, you gotta get dressed in here. This is that
Definitely,
many.
people out there was people in the hallway getting changed. Trying to listen. I mean, how can you give a first team talk to like people in the other room? It's I don't know, man. I really don't. Because
Yeah,
even if you
it's
were to sell, how many players can they sell between that? And even if you did, I mean, some of these guys are literally just going to be sitting around. I mean,
you
cleaning the
know what's
windows
sad
and
is
cutting the grass and stuff.
there's 9 keepers, and I don't even know if they have 9 keepers, and I can't even really say that they have a bona fide number one. Like out of those 9 keepers, is there one keeper that you're like, oh, he's top class. He's the top of the league keeper. Not one. Not one.
Uh,
That says a lot. Says a lot.
and potentially only one Reece James injury away from only having one right back.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That is so true. But hey, their coach will figure it out. He's obviously a brilliant man manager by making Enzo apparently the vice captain. So he'll figure out
Yeah.
something. I'm sure we can see his.
Hands across America.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just hope that this carries on for Chelsea, like as long as
Long may continue. Yeah, absolutely.
Did that actually happen? By the way, did that ever like actually happen? Like hands across America? Is that a thing? Like I know
Oh,
like that, but did they
I
ever actually?
remember. Yeah, I don't know.
Was there like there was lines of people? I mean, yeah. I mean, I remember the song more than the actual thing. But whenever someone's acting all terrible like that, I always think, "Yep, hands across America. Here we go."
um, I will give you a little copium. I guess that's what I think the kids call it. A little bit of like Zen. And I'll bring it up here. Give me 1 second. Make sure I can make it so we can all enjoy this.
And YouTube is right, man. The guy is going to be walking around the trainer going, and who are you? And who are you?
Yeah.
Like, and then 2 weeks later to be, and who are you? You know, because I mean, in fairness, like a lot of these guys, they all kind of have the same haircuts, drive the same cars, wear the same colors every day. You know, you can't deal with this. You cannot deal with it. Like,
oh
you
no,
cannot
trust me.
have-
The guy whoever works the gate, whoever's the security guard that works the gate, it's gonna be like, wait a minute, I got to get to page 6. Give me 1 second to get your name.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's like, which Javi Garcia are you?
yeah,
Because we've got 2 on this one. Yeah. Come on, man.
Oh man, I had to get a little. There's some cool little photos that were shared of some of what we now know is. I know there's 2 versions of the song. The one that I know of is the risky or is not risky business is the Eddie Murphy Nick Nolte movie version. But the boys are back in town basically. All the boys are basically, back in town in that we are seeing everyone fully at camp, ready to go in the weight room, on the pitch. Looking forward to getting this really, really going on for this upcoming season. Big up, football gossiper. Big up, big up.
I don't know which is in which, but there's only one version. That's the Thin Lizzy version. So that's the if you're talking about that song, there's only one version. That's Thin Lizzy. Don't know which one is in which, but
okay. I don't know about that. The one that I know is the one in the movie.
No, that's the original. Yeah, no, but is it the boys are back in town?
But they do a different version.
Yeah, I'm sure people have covered it.
They do their interpretation of it. That's what the point is.
Yeah, well, but that's Thin Lizzy. Yeah. That song everyone knows. The version everyone knows. It's Thin Lizzy.
I know.
Version.
It's Thin Lizzy. They're Irish band, right? Are they Irish?
Mostly, yeah. Well, yeah, they are an Irish band. Yeah,
I see. I see. I understand why you're trying to rip them. I got you.
I'm repping for them, but I'm just saying it's like if you said like what's like I'm not sure if like the version of whatever it's like whoever wrote the song and released it, it's their song.
It's like Dear Prudence. Like I love this version of Jerry by that's done by Jerry Garcia, but I mean Jerry Garcia isn't the first person to sing
Now
that song.
I'm aware of yeah, we're all aware of the concept of the cover version, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were it's the original is Tin Lizzy. So
Well, there's all right. Well, this is the original TAA. How about that? There's no other original other than Trent Alexander-Arnold. All
well,
right.
I think you'll find there was an Irish player in the 1920s called Trevor Andrew Alexander. So we also
There you
had the
go.
original TA. Yes. So yeah,
There you go.
that's
There
ours
you
too.
go. There you
That's
go.
ours too.
I'm sure it is. But yeah, they're back in town, in training. Some really cool picks. You know, Ali.
Oh, they're all. All
I'm
that
pretty
stuff is out
excited
today,
about
isn't
this
it?
year. I don't know. I know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I know what you're at now. All the back in training type videos. I'm assuming are coming out. Is it?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice face.
Basically,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, nice, Dom. Yeah, if the wind changes, your face will stick like that. Your mother never tell you that, Dom.
Yeah. There's some good picks here. Nunez, Diego chopping it up with Lucho there. Lucho with
That's
the
Diaz and Gakpo, is it?
yeah with
Gakpo in the background.
the new he's got like the new frost highlights I guess on the top I guess I don't know what you call that. Um,
That's
even
definitely Gakpo.
even got the main man himself back looking like he just got out of Snoop 64 Impala.
Too cool for
rolling
school. Too
rolling
yeah.
on rolling on those dubs. Um, but yeah, here's the front view of Lucho giving a piece. I don't know about the look Lucho, but hey, do you know?
Yeah,
And
double
also
denim is
gotta
hard to
give
pull
love
off,
for
man.
yeah, it is. Yeah, and Salah saying what's up to Ibu.
Yeah.
So yeah, some good vibrations, some good vibes basically going on there. Long may continue. I'm hoping that this is going to be a good year for us. I'm sure everyone, the majority of
Can
us
I
in the chat would like that. Go ahead.
can I just say I hope Ibu didn't trip over that bollard and do his knee. That's all I'm
Oh my
saying because
god!
it looks like he's about to go.
I didn't
It
see
looks
that
like
until you
he's
said
about to get
something.
it, man. Yeah,
He
I'm
might have
like,
put his
Yeah.
yeah, watch out, Ibu, watch out, man.
giving Salah a hand clasp. He might have put his
Yeah.
shoulder out.
Yeah.
Bang, breaks his shin
That's
off
the
the
last thing we
bollard.
need to know is like report comes in Ibu out for 2 months because of parking lot injury.
Yeah.
That would be
He's
horrible.
I mean, that's close, man. That's close.
That is close. That is very close. Well, our show today was going to be on some just going over some overrated players in our minds. We were going to try to come up with a list of overrated players that really do justice to what we feel has been a term that this is how I put it. There's always been that the next Messi or insert country name here Messi, or there's always been that guy that that is supposed to be the next big sensation, or he's the bee's knees, as my grandmother used to say, So
Okay.
so what is the format of what we're going to do is we're going to try to come up with a list of players here, and we're going to we have a list, but we're going to try to come up with a list of players to choose an 11 overrated 11 basically, and it will be an overrated 11 that will eventually go toe to toe against an underrated 11. So this show today is about the overrated 11 The next show will be against the underrated 11. And then eventually we'll have two sides that will face off against each other, and we'll decide on what team would actually prevail. Would it be the underrateds or would it really be the overrateds? We're going to find out. But first, we got to start with the overrateds. And that's where we're going to begin today's discussion.
Yeah.
So
I'll go first. My first 11, if you don't mind. I'll go first with my first.
Yeah, let me bring up your. I'm gonna.
Because I think it's a good example of what we're thinking about.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me take down. Because I don't want to make sure that we don't think that either one of those players are overrated. By the way, I don't want you thinking that that it had on the screen at least. But go ahead.
That bollard might have been more use than Ibu last season. Actually, now that I think about it, just plunked it in the middle of the center. Yeah.
Yeah. Big up Red for Life. Good to see you. Big up Philip, by the way. Big up Philip. Good to see you too.
Yeah.
YouTube name in the house. I see you.
I think Lee is trying to get his homework finished.
That's what he's probably trying to do. Yeah.
Trying to give him as much time there as possible. But so if we go one by one, he'll have time to, because you have 1, 2, 3 for him. So
yeah. We had
I think
we
can
just
go. I'll just message you in the private chat.
Like forwards. Can we do forwards? Can you separate your list of forwards, midfielders, and defenders? Can we do something like that, maybe?
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to do it that way, then I won't be able to do the guy I wanted to do first. So you just give me whichever one you want me to do first, and I'll do him first.
Okay, because I had Theo Walcott as your player first name on there.
Well, he's not a defender though. So you want to go forward?
Oh no. I was saying forwards. I said forward.
Oh, you want to go from front to back? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you put in? Well, I'll just put. If you can put this guy, I'll message him in the chat. If you can, are you going to put up pictures? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to try to put up all the pictures for all the players.
I'll put the guy that I want you to put up. I'll just put his name in the chat now. Does that count as an attacker? In the private chat.
Okay, do that. And I'll bring it up.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Got you. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right. I'll bring up his picture. All right. I am kind of want to bring up his picture without this, but all right. Ready?
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go, David.
You're on that.
Yeah, he was overrated.
Yeah.
Wait, let him get his yeah. Lee's ready, ripping and ready to go. Go ahead, Irishman.
Right. So the idea with this for me is that only really, really top players are overrated. I mean, because like average players and normal players aren't really overrated. People just know that they're overrated. So in my world, the most overrated players tend to actually be really good players. It's not that they're trash players. They're not that they're absolutely awful, but it's just that people make them out to actually be better than they were. So like Beckham, I think, is like the prime example of that, because Beckham was a great player. He was a really good footballer. He was really good at lots of things, but he was also not very good at a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And because he had like iconic moments, and he was like he shifted into midfield, like he was, a part of a machine that Man United created. So like back in the day, I mean, he wasn't going to dribble past anybody. His thing was to shift the ball, and he had a great overlap going on with Gary Neville, and he could cross a ball and ping a ball as good as anybody in the world. But that was one of his main strengths. When the other parts of the game, I don't really think he was up there when it comes down to. He could run all day and all that probably but when you look back, the way people talk about him now, the way people make him out to be this like world class Zidane, Galactico, Ronaldinho level of player back then, I really don't think he was ever close to that. He was close to being a one-trick pony, but really hard working. So I think he, to me, is one of the ultimate overrated player because he was really, really good. You don't play for Man United and Ferguson, Real Madrid without it. But he's nowhere near as good as people make him out to be. Some people make him out to be. So that to me makes him the classic overrated player. So that's why I wanted to put him first. So he's my first shout.
Okay. Um, good choice. I have it noted. I have it written down here. I have
And in the chat as well. Sorry, just in the chat, lads. I mean, we want names from the chat as well. Because
yeah,
if
you
we're
can give
short
names from the chat. You can definitely give
yeah,
names for the chat, and yeah,
because there'll be a
you
spot in
can
the
also
11.
you can
I
also
think
sell
we
us.
can
You can set thumbs up,
definitely,
thumbs down on it too. You can give us the thumbs up, thumbs down if
yeah.
you think the choice is good or if you think the choice is bad as well. Just so, and I'll put the names. Yeah, I'll put the name in there just so we can make
And
sure that
definitely,
you know who you're voting
yeah,
for.
tell us whether you agree or disagree. But like we're making an 11, so there's a good chance that we might be looking for a spot. And I think we'll probably just try and keep a spot for the chat. So probably
Yeah.
like
Chat's always, you're
the
always
most
involved.
nominated name. Yeah, the most nominated name in the chat, maybe, or something like that, can definitely get in over the
For
course of
sure.
the night. But yeah, keep putting in your suggestions as we're going along. So it doesn't, oh, you don't have to say, oh, is it a defender? Just whatever name you like. We'll put the 11 thing together. Any name you
Yeah.
think of, you think is really overrated, just put it in.
YouTube names already got some shouts in there. YouTube names definitely got some shouts. Wow,
Okay, take care.
Alexander. I don't know
Take
about
care, Bernie.
Alexander. That's a shout. Jimmy with the shout too. I have Lee's choice, and it is a 3-name individual, just so he knows who we're talking about. And I'm going to bring up his man of choice right
Okay,
now.
Bernie, take care. Enjoy your dinner.
Definitely enjoy. Oh, she's going to be listening and watching at least, but she's going to enjoy her dinner. Definitely enjoy. Bon appetit.
Let us know what it is as well.
But go ahead, Lee. Tell us a little bit about your choice here.
Who's that?
Okay.
John, we're doing the most overrated players in the Premier League, Baz.
You gotta
Don't
remember
worry,
who you
Baz.
pick. That's
Don't
your
worry,
pick,
Baz.
not mine.
What's he doing in the Man United shirt?
That was the famous press conference when he had signed for Man United and they kidnapped him to go to Chelsea, basically. But
Basically.
no,
don't remember that. Yeah, I felt he was overrated. He wasn't a massive player, but he was just one of those midfielders. You used to look at him and think, and some midfielders are like that in that they don't do a lot. But I even looked at that, looked at him from that angle and thought he's still not that bloody good. Him, what the hell is he doing in their side? Because others are looked at like Essien and that, and you were like, yeah, but him, no. He just weren't that good a player in my eyes. Like, whereas all the others like Essien, Balak, all them, they were
Makelele.
players. It was that bloody Yugoslav type one they used to have as well. Chelsea in the middle, who was dead good. Who was him? I've forgotten. But Mikel, no, he just didn't do it to me. Players like Michael Essien and Michael Balak were just like top class, but him, I didn't see it.
Do you mean Stanic? Mario Stanic?
Yeah, Stanic,
Yeah. And Makelele, don't forget they had Makelele.
Oh,
but yeah,
yes.
they had him signed.
They
had him signed up, man.
Makelele I loved from when he was at Celta Vigo when they knocked us out the UEFA Cup. Because it was just when Houllier was getting to grips with our side and we looked a half-decent team. And then we played Celta Vigo and got minced. And Makelele was one of the main reasons we did get minced. So even before he came, we all knew how brilliant Makelele was, like, in Liverpool. But, Obi Mikel's not brilliant. So, see what anyone else thinks of that.
Yeah. See what the chat thinks about that one. Irishman, you want to, you can put your name, your upcoming name in the private chat too, just so it's already.
Oh no, yeah. I'm not sure what you pop up picture now. You're ready to go.
Yeah, I have mine ready. Okay.
Yeah.
So, my individual Look, I wanted to make sure that this was like how they say a nonpartisan attempt or approach towards this list, basically.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure
Feet
that no
first,
one's going to
man.
call because there's a lot of names from a particular team out there that I definitely can't stand. But I was going to go with a certain individual that I think was heavily overrated, primarily because he was at the time one of our biggest transfer acquisitions of all time. And that individual, I'm sure a lot of you already know. I'm not even going to put his name. I'm not even going to make sure I take down my comment here. Sorry about that. Uh, that individual is Mr. Carroll.
Oh yeah.
Yes, YouTube me.
Yeah.
Yes, YouTube me. Oh man, Andy Carroll. Oh my goodness. For someone that was simply supposed to be like like he was supposed to be almost like I wouldn't call him the English Messi, but I mean like he was supposed to be the man for us. He was going to basically be the guy that brought us glory. 35 million pounds in 2011 is a lot of money. Let me state that again. That's a lot of money. He had his moments. He had a couple of big moments. I'll admit that. The goal he had against Manchester City and the like, but one or two big moments does not equate to 35 million pounds. And it doesn't equate to the fact that he was just a waste of space. Oh man, I'm sorry, Andy, but you get my vote as being
When we say
overrated.
about Carroll that there were a few highlights,
Have-
there were very few, and even those highlights were shit. You know
yeah,
what I
but
mean? Like,
who can I ask
go,
seriously?
City, so
When you're
what?
saying when you're saying overrated, I think what you're saying there is that we overrated him as a club in terms of transfer fee. I wouldn't class him as an overrated player. Nobody ever rated him in the first place.
No,
Obviously,
no.
wait, no, come on now. He's obviously
No, by
rated.
fans.
He was
No,
one of
by
them
fans.
players who scored a couple of decent looking goals, like it
There
long shot
were
headers for Newcastle, and the
there
people
were
looked at him as who he's capable of it, like you know what I mean. And then
there were
all of a
jaws there were jaws dropped on the floor all over the world when we signed
yeah,
that
yeah.
guy. Nobody. He had 6 months in the Premier League. The only thing I think the only people that overrated him was the people that signed a check. He had 6 months in the Premier League. I don't. I mean, did was there anybody other than Newcastle fans that actually rated the guy? He's one of the worst players we've ever bought. But I'm not having a go at your pick, but I'm saying, did anybody ever really actually rate Andy Carroll?
It was
Obviously, yeah, I think.
playing
I mean, like
As fans? No, I
if
just
they
mean this from
didn't,
fans' point of view. No, I just take when I say overrated, I mean by fans. That's the way I look at it, not by the people that signed the checks. But yeah, no, hey, cool. Look, we'll be talking about this one. We should go to maybe just what the people in the chat have been thrown in because there've been loads of names thrown in.
oh, I
'cause,
know. Well, I
yeah,
wasn't alone because there were names in there.
um,
There were people in the chat that did have Andy Carroll as being overrated.
after you put him in, after you put him up, yeah. But no, just some of the other names we missed the
God,
loads, and there
Brian,
was
you're
good.
something today, dude.
There's nothing. No, nobody rated Andy
Come
Carroll.
on, man. Come on.
Nobody rated him.
Come
Nobody
on.
thought he was that good. Nobody thought he
yeah.
was that good.
Same with Obi
Nobody.
Mikel, really, that pick from me. I'm glad we started with them too. Now we'll get on to players who actually were highly rated, but
Yeah.
who we all suspect were never as good as what the media said they were and what their own fan base said they were. And I've got
We
quite
were getting called idiots for buying a donkey about 5 minutes after he showed up, man. That was
I take that.
embarrassing.
I don't know, man. If it wasn't for injuries, maybe I'd have a different. Maybe injuries definitely hampered Andy Carroll's career. But I mean, like he was a
Quite
very
a few other
tall.
things.
He was a tall, promising, quote unquote, promising forward.
Yeah.
That with what King Kenny had in plan for him, I thought maybe we could have a forward that was going to bring us some type of some type
It
of.
was it was the other guy that came in the door beside him that people should have been paying attention to. The Uruguayan lad.
And he could be on your underrated list. How about that? But I mean, like,
seriously.
But this is my.
Well, I know, yeah, but we'll go. Yeah, let's quickly. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's move.
Terry McDermott.
We can talk about it backstage.
Coming to Liverpool.
Well, no, you haven't put your next player.
Oh no, I was waiting for you to. Which one of you got lined up? You pop up the picture and tell me. I'm ready. I can talk about any of them. So just tell me because it's forwards, isn't it?
Oh,
so
okay.
You wanted the forwards. But yeah, Di Maria. I'll call out a few of the names from the chat, the main ones that I'm seeing more often than not, because I'll try and remember them for later on for the most picked by the chat. Why is my chat gone dead? On phones. Right. Okay. Bruno Fernandes.
Equal opportunity. We're going to be
Bruno
equal
Fernandes.
opportunity. Is that one on your list? That's
no. I'll just do. Yeah, I'm just doing a few from the chat. Bruno Fernandes, Januzaj, Kezman, Falcao, Arshavin, Owen from Baz, Giggs, Keane, Cantona from Baz, Benteke, Biscan. He was never. You see, you're missing the point here. Overrated. Kazaragi, Veron. Not a huge amount, but a lot of. Baz is going hard on Man United as we expected, but the main name there I can see maybe is, well, not much. Bit of a spread.
Okay, so this is Brian's next choice for overrated that I have on
Theo
the
Walcott.
list.
Yeah, Theo Walcott. I mean, the original kind of all-rounder athlete type guy. Early pace. I don't want him to compare him to someone, nowhere near someone we had at our club, but just an Arsenal guy that got that Arsenal fan juice that they give to all their players that look kind of, young and promising and English, that they just kind of make them out to be, we got to give him 250 grand a week. He was basically just pace and finishing when he was fearless and young. So he'd score a lot of goals, but as he got a little bit older, all his kind of failings really, they just came to the fore. He was an average player. Without his pace, he never would have gotten anywhere near. And he was rated. Again, this is about overrated players. This isn't about players I thought were shit. This is about players who were good enough to play for England, good enough to play for Arsenal, and 250 grand a week, and we should go and buy this guy. And we were linked to him loads of times. But without his pace, I'm not saying just a pace merchant, but he was just a pace merchant. He was good at finishing, yeah, but loads of other players are good at finishing. And without his pace, he would have had maybe a career in the Championship. He just couldn't really do it under pressure. He couldn't do anything like that. But he was highly, highly rated by Arsenal fans and England fans. So that, to me, that's why he's my number 2. He has to be considered. The guy. Arsene Wenger played. Look, I'm not an idiot. Arsene Wenger played him a lot, but if he had been half a yard slower, he wouldn't have been given the opportunity to get into those positions that he got into, and then he has nothing to give. After that, he leaves you with nothing, and they made him out to be as good as some truly great players, which is why I believe he's overrated. So there you go. Theo Walcott.
Okay. Theo Walcott is Brian's nominee for the list here. Make sure. I have next on the list is Lee's choice. This isn't necessarily a forward, but I'm going with Lee doesn't have as long of a list as all of us, so I just go with his selections. We're going 1-1-1, and that is Giggs. Go ahead and tell us why you think Giggs should be on this list.
Yeah, Ryan Giggs deserves to be honoured because he was, in my opinion, he was definitely overrated. I wouldn't say massively overrated because he was a good player, but he wasn't as good a player as people perceived him to be. He just played in a very good team. There were much better wingers than him. He was a mixture of pace and skill, but his skill wasn't exactly obscene for a winger. You know what I mean? It wasn't even, it was low down his scale, like the skill, really, like compared to others I can think of. And also, he's a terrible person who stole his own brother's wife. I mean, how awful a person do you have to be to steal your brother's wife? And you're a
8 years.
footballer. It'd be that hard to get a woman when you're a footballer, a nice
I
looking
don't think
man.
I think that's just a Red Devil trait, isn't it? And doesn't Wayne Rooney have a baby with like his brother's wife or something like that? Or
God, I haven't heard that, like, but that's awful too. Not your brother.
I don't know.
Not
That's speculate. That's allegedly.
Yeah.
I'll put that in there.
that.
Yeah.
What kind of man does that to his brother?
8 years. 8 years he was with her. His brother's wife. He was seeing her for 8 years behind his back. And like you said, he also was seeing about 25 other women at the same time. Like, that's a fact.
Yeah.
And he also, like, his brother was a footballer who wasn't as good as him. And he's like,
This is Giggs, right? You're talking about, right?
yeah, Rodri Giggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lee's right. No, he has to be up there. If you're talking about human beings, but if you're talking about overrated footballers, yeah, go ahead, man. Make your.
He's an overrated footballer and a rotten man for doing that to his own brother.
Do you not think he was
It's not
as good? I mean, if you're just keeping it to the football side,
Yeah,
I mean, he was pretty good. He played about 1,000 games.
He was very good, but he wasn't as good as people said. He certainly wasn't as skillful as people thought he was. If you look at his repertoire of tricks and how to get by players, he wasn't as good as people
He was
thought.
90s skillful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where back then being a winger, like where like they might have had like 2 or 3 tricks.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That was all. Like, McManaman was way more skillful than Giggs was. McManaman had like about 10 different things he could do. Giggs basically, yeah, and he had that young pace. But as he got older, yeah, I think kind of he was 90s skillful, like, if you know what I mean. Whereas today he wouldn't be like. Yeah, I don't longevity and all that. I mean, the guy kind of played more. Yeah, he's won. I mean, if you're looking at his trophy cabinet, he probably needs more of them than he has mistresses. So
McManaman and our team didn't really play as a winger. Did he that much? Because he was playing. It was a 3-5-2, and he played behind the 2 forwards. Whether it was Russian Fowler or Gordon Fowler, whereas Giggs was over wide, wasn't he, in a 4-4-2 with Ferguson?
And McManaman said that. McManaman said he wanted to play centre mid. He didn't want to be a winger. He was just so skillful that a lot of times he did, especially for England, play left, play right. He never got to play in the middle. To say like he played in a 4-3-3 today, he would have played in that 3 in the middle. That's what he wanted to be, and he would have been amazing at that. But he was definitely way more skillful than Giggs was. I thought Giggs was just sort of.
Well, it was Steve McManaman that Real Madrid went for, not Ryan Giggs at the end of the day.
Well, let me get to this next guy because we want to get through this whole list. Make sure I'm not making like a 3, 4, 5, 6 hour show like sometimes we've gotten into. I will keep with the Manchester United. I know sentiment here and show my choice of being overrated, and that is the Brazilian himself, Anthony. I have to think that Anthony is very vastly overrated. Considering Anthony is the second most expensive player in Manchester United history. Let me repeat that. He's the second most expensive player in Manchester United's history, costing £82 million from Ajax. He basically is all flair, but has zero skill sets when it comes to putting the ball into the back of the net, when it comes to at least Premier League. He was looked at as being a real difference maker. He started 15 games in 2023-24, scored 1 goal. started 23 games for Manchester United in 22-23, scored 4 goals. So he is someone that has problems off the field. I get that. That I'm not going to put that part as being overrated. That has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that this guy is he if the way he walks onto the pitch, the way he's just an absolute a-hole basically on the pitch. Um, you can't do much but hate the guy, and I do pretty much dislike him severely, and I think he's a piece of whatever. But I also think that he's overrated. Basically, is the bottom line, and that is my choice for overrated. Anthony over Anderson. Yeah, big ups, Zaberi. Yeah, I would say that. Fred, yeah, as well. Yeah, he's a good choice. Yeah, Anthony's he is an absolute.
Red
it looks like the chat's with me on that one. Jimmy's got him on this list. Richard, yeah. I think Giggs is a Manchester United legend. I don't know, but he's not necessarily I think he is. I understand where he was going with overrated. I think he was overrated, but all the same. I have the next player that Brian chose, and let me make sure. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure this image is big enough so you can see it. Make it big. Okay. And that individual is former Red, and a fellow Irishman.
Yep.
Brian?
Robbie Keane.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, Robbie Keane. Definitely just basically an overrated player. A player who, I mean, again, obviously the criteria we have is slightly different, but my criteria is basically on what how fans rate players over a long time. So he's someone who was basically looked at as being a top Premier League player. He has really good numbers. He looks good for Ireland. He looks really good in a particular system, but I think you saw what happened when he came to Liverpool. I mean, again, the price is irrelevant for me when saying someone is overrated. That's just what someone paid for. It doesn't mean, to me, overrated means what people think of him and what fans say. Fans say, "Oh, he was brilliant." It's like, no, actually think of it. Was he that good? That's the way I think of it. And when you look back at him, we all knew it. We all saw him who played for Ireland every week. He was nowhere near as good as people in England would say he was. Spurs fans would rate him, that he was this good, he was that. No, man, he was good in flashes. He was okay at a certain level, and he came up clutch for us in certain games. But I think maybe even Robbie himself, and definitely what you're talking about in the media, the Irish media definitely overrated Robbie Keane. He moved from, he played for good clubs, and he went to Inter Milan. You see, that's where people lost their mind about Robbie. Inter Milan paid, I think, £11 million to buy him from Coventry when he was 19, which was unheard of in what was that, 1999 or something stupid. An Irish player at that age being good enough to play for Inter Milan, Ronaldo was still there at the time. What the hell is going on here? So after that, the Irish media kind of lost their mind about Robbie Keane, and they never kind of got it out of their head that he was that guy, when he never actually, I think, proved to be that guy. So, yeah, here in Ireland, it's just a personal thing. He is very much, we see him as something that he kind of wasn't. He was good, but not as good as people think he is. Equals overrated.
Yeah. This is news to me, but I did suspect that that's probably how he was seen in Ireland. He was rated too much, because it's just the way it is, the way it goes with media, in every country. And I didn't know that until you said it, but I'm not surprised you said that. I was going to pick him myself, actually, which is a funny thing. When he popped up, I didn't know you were going to pick him. As soon as he popped up, I laughed at myself because I was going to pick him. and I actually thought I wouldn't in case it enraged you. I was going to.
No, to me,
well.
he's another perfect one. It's someone who is really, really good, right? Which that's how you become overrated. You can't be overrated unless you're really, really good, in my eyes. So it's the really, really good players who get looked back as being amazing and great and brilliant.
Do you know
that's what? And he gets looked on like that,
awesome,
especially over here.
Awesome. Like specifically to partner Torres, I thought it was going to work. I thought this will work. This because Rafa's seen it'll work, and then it just didn't, and I was pissed off about that.
Well,
I mean, 5 minutes later, and he's gone back to Spurs. I mean, that was a bizarre set of scenarios. Anyway, yeah, Lee is up next. Is he Lee?
Lee is up. Lee is up, and I have Lee's choice here. Actually, this is him as a coach, but I'll just put his picture up first. Do you want to go on about this player? Oh wait, my bad. My bad. That's probably.
Oh, that's not nice. That's not nice at all.
Yeah. Here he is, Captain Flab himself, Captain Flabtastic, old pie-ass Lampard. Because, it stopped Gerrard getting in his rightful central position with England, him being there. And I just thought Lampard didn't justify it, although he was a good player, he wasn't that good, in my eyes. He was definitely a good player and all this crap, really good player, but he wasn't as good as people say he was. And he used to get on my nerves as well, and still does. I just, he gets on my nerves, Frank Lampard. I find him an irritant, find him an irksome person, like that bullshit with Jurgen, all that crap, you know what I mean? But as a player, he was a good goal scorer. He took free kicks, he took penalties, blah blah blah. But aside from that, he didn't do much to me. He could pass, but he was a goal scorer in midfield, wasn't he? And he's done well in that Chelsea side. But I just didn't like him. I didn't think he was as good as the Chelsea fans thought he was. And it's because the Chelsea fans venerate his memory, sort of with fervour that I wanted to pick him.
Yeah, he's well over 300 goals.
All right, so we're gonna make. Yeah. Okay.
I don't. I know what you're saying because he's one of those people. Frank Lampard is one of those people who he's either actually going to be in your overrated list or your underrated list because that's the way people are with him. Some people will tell you he's one of the most underrated players of all time, and there's other people who tell you he's totally overrated. You see it all the time with him. Lampard is a classic kind of control sample for people. So yeah, but go on. Who's the next? Who's up next? Is it me? It's me probably. Who have I got next?
No. I'm next.
Oh, you're up next. Sorry, you're up next.
So I'm going to go, like I said, I'm an equal opportunity here, overrated. And I am going to bring up this next individual as my choice of being overrated. I'm going to go with Alexis Sanchez. I thought that Sanchez was overrated. I know he scored a lot of goals, 80 goals, 166 appearances. But he got a lot of fanfare and ended up going to United. Ended up scoring 5 goals and 45 appearances with United. A little lackluster to say for someone that's supposed to be world class, world talent. Manchester United also paid a very big fee for him to bring him in when they chose to bring his services to Old Trafford. So he is someone I think that was possibly well rated when he was with Arsenal. I just think that he was overrated by the likes of United and by the likes of others in the Premier League that thought that he had a lot of poor performances in my memory, and I just thought that he was not as good as everyone made him out to be, in my opinion. So that is my selection for a player that I thought. I didn't bring up one player because the next player I'm going to bring up is a player that I had on my list, but he's a player that Brian also had on his list as well. Let me get the find the tab for it, and pull up the tab here. And that player is someone. It's almost like this is like a rivals in red session here because a lot of these players are wearing red. But the player that I had and the player that Brian had on both our lists is this individual, and that is Marcus. Tell us about why you had Marcus as an overrated player, Brian.
Oh, so pass it on to me. I see. Yeah, yeah. Very nice. Very slick. Very slick. Um, why do I have him overrated? Because again, he has to fit the criteria. Do people think he's absolutely brilliant? Do people go on about him all the time how brilliant he is? Then
Mm-hmm.
is he actually not that good? Yeah. Nobody goes on about certain players that have been mentioned in the chat. You got to remember, people, overrated to be highly, truly highly overrated. You have to have a load of people out there telling you this guy is the shit. The people that will argue with you all day on Twitter saying he's better than this guy, he's better than that guy. These are the guys I'm going for. So for me, Rashford is that guy for people on Man United Twitter. Over the last few years, they'll tell you he's better than this, he's better than that. And anybody that plays the most basic metric of all time, Fantasy Premier League, that'll tell you every single season he will do something on a streak, and then that's it. He's gone. It could be 5 months before he disappears more often than fucking David Copperfield. This guy will do. He will look like the best in the world for two
Mm-hmm.
games,
Mm-hmm.
3 games,
Mm-hmm.
and then he will go completely missing for a long, long time. But that's what makes him so highly overrated because the Man United fans will look at those 3 games and they'll rate him on that. And they'll say, look at this. He's one of the best in the league. He's better than Diaz. He's better than Sterling. He's better than whoever else is playing on the left at the time. Son. He's better than all your left sided players. And then, yeah, but they show up every week over the course of a season. This guy looks like the best in the world for 5 minutes, and then he's gone. Poof, like a puff of smoke, disappears, never to be seen again for another 6 months. And just as everyone's starting to wonder, oh, maybe is he actually not? Oh, he'll come on and he'll do something again for another 3 games, and he'll look really good again. And then PSG want him. Oh, he's worth 300 grand a week. He should start for England. To me, he is the definition at the moment at Man United of their most overrated player because I mean, nobody is taking him. What's he done in 8 months? And then, like I said, he'll score 5 in 4, and then gone again. So right now, even more than, I think maybe anyone else at their club, I think he's definitely their most overrated player. So there he is. He's in my thing. Keep it brief.
Yeah, keep it brief. Keep it brief. No doubt. No doubt. Um, one of the names I do have um, for Lee is a name that certainly is a name that people do think of as being highly rated, a name that people often associate with being a world-class talent, and that name is Reece James. Why do you have Reece James as overrated?
Chelsea fans in the
Lee?
last few seasons saying that he's so much better than Trent, saying, he can defend and attack, whereas Trent can only attack, blah, 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 blah. I was sick of arguing with them about it, like in recent seasons, because they were really saying, Trent's awful, not an awful player, but he can't defend and all this. Like, and James is so much better than him. But I don't think James is so much better than Trent. In fact, I think the opposite is true. I think Trent's the better player.
Okay.
That's why I picked.
Okay.
That's why I picked.
That's true.
Because he beat Trent
Yeah,
out the
no
England
doubt.
and getting
Yeah,
all
you were saying that earlier on. If he was keeping him out of the England team, was one of the things you were saying.
Yeah,
A bit of a theme.
Annoyed me, yeah. And I know we maybe not necessarily want our players playing for England, but you know where I'm coming from. Trent wants to play. He's in his way. Chelsea fans think he's better than Trent. I don't think he is better than Trent, and I think he's overrated. In fact, I'm sure he's overrated and know it. I've watched him. He's not what they say he is.
Okay, as simple as that. We're gonna because of we don't have the equal number of selections. I'm gonna be forced to hop around the pitch a little bit. I was trying to keep it in positions, but it looks like we're gonna have to hop around a little bit. And I figured that we would go with we can hop to the back. Pause.
We need a goalkeeper,
and
I think we need a goalkeeper.
And I'll go with goalkeeper. Yeah, that's where I was going to go to next.
Keeper.
And
cool.
I was going to go with my selection for overrated. This was a tough one. I do have my list was pretty lengthy. I know I told Brian what my list was. I had I had a full squad actually. I picked a full squad of not 25, at least but 23 players on my squad. Kepa's a shout, by the way. Kepa is definitely a shout. But I have Ramsdale as overrated. I have Ramsdale overrated because often I'm told that Ramsdale is on the level of, if you listen to Arsenal fans, especially, even sometimes to today, they had Ramsdale being rated with the likes of Alisson or even Ederson, and I'm like, he's not there. He made some really, really fancy saves, some really spectacular saves at times. But is he a world-class goalkeeper? No, he is not. And unfortunately, we have to hear time and time again about how great of a goalkeeper he is as ad nauseum at times. And there's a reason why. I think there's an obvious reason why the Arteta would go out, get another goalkeeper, and say it's a competition, quote unquote. But yet everyone full well knows that it was just an easier way of just basically finding an exit for Mr. Ramsdale. I think that he is vastly overrated, and I think that that's why and this is one of the reasons why he made my list of overrated. Keeping with the goalkeeper
quote, that Arteta quote, remember, that made me squirm because and Lee has put two more in the private chat for you.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, Arteta even made that thing where, so you brought in Raya, does that mean you're dropping Ramsdale? And he was such a coward about it. He was like, no. What we've done is we brought in two keepers that can play. I might even if it means doing it in the game, I could easily sub off Raya and bring on Ramsdale and take off Raya. And people are looking going, are you serious? Because he didn't want to come out. So basically what they're saying was, are you dropping England's potential number one? And it's that quote never gets talked about or brought up. It gets brushed under the carpet. He said, no, I'm not dropping Aaron. No, he's not out with the team. And they were like, yeah, but you've just brought in Raya. He was like, yeah, but both of them can play. Like, you can sub off outfield players. Why can't you do that with your keepers? They could both even play in the same game. And people are like, oh, okay, you're talking absolute shite there. Like you said it. They brought him in. And if he was that good, why do you need Raya? If this guy, Henderson, whatever his name is it Henderson? I've forgotten his name.
Right.
Bridgedale. What's his name? The guy. This guy we're talking about. What's his name? The Arsenal keeper you're talking about. the guy we're literally talking about right now. I've forgotten his name. What is it? Ramsdale. Yeah, Ramsdale. Sorry, I was.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were having a laugh. Oh, are you okay?
No, I was calling him Henderson. No, I was calling him Henderson.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Dean Henderson.
Yeah, he's the other guy at Palace. Yeah.
He's one that could be on this
it's
list.
England.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll move on now because I think England goalkeepers might be a bit of a team here. Let's just say.
Oh yeah, easily so. There is a name of a goalkeeper that was on my list, but yeah. Oh,
we've had a shout for Lee. Joe Hart in the chat. We've had a shout for
Lee. I got your nominee already. I'll bring up Brian's nominee for goalkeeper first, then I'll bring up Lee's.
Well, I put in two goalkeeper nominees, so you can put up either one.
I'll put up this one. Oh wait, did I not put it up here? My fault. I think I just doubled it. I'll show you this one. This is the one I had originally up on deck for you, Mr. Hart.
Because I think Bernie just gave him a shout. I see she's back, so I hope you enjoyed your dinner. And you still haven't told us what it was, Bernie. I went with Joe Hart because, again, I mean, I think he's probably the only player on this list that even he kind of cuts close to my criteria of I don't even think he was that rated. I think he was rated by a subsection of England fans, the media, and his own fans. But I'm putting him on this list because I think 50% of how rated he was actually came from himself. He thought he was the greatest keeper of all time.
I never
he literally thought, yeah, no, he just thought he was the shit. He thought he was
the bee's
yeah,
knees.
no, he thought he
also got hullabaloo and some of it coming from himself. Yeah, about like how good he was and that. Like it wasn't.
He created basically what there is a weird and very unbroken lineage which started at him, and it's gone from him to Jordan Pickford, Wayne Henderson, Aaron Ramsdale, right, and then now to Jordan Pickford again in goal. They all think that you need to be incredibly shouty and shout and scream at your players all the time and make over dramatic saves and be bleach blonde. They're all blonde and they're all really shouty and they think that's how you command your backline. Like I would have knocked Joe Hart out or Jordan Pickford out so many times if I was a defender. The amount of times like he makes a mistake, he'll make a stupid mistake and he comes running out and screaming and shouting at his defenders. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, seriously. And it all comes from Joe Hart being totally over dramatic and his whole, I don't know if anyone remembers it, but he coined this whole thing about fronting up. And that's where it all starts. This guy is the epitome of overrated England goalkeepers. He's the king of it, so he has to go in there. He started the whole thing.
All right. I have Lee's choice for goalkeeper. His choice for goalkeeper was Mr. Schmeichel.
No, Schmeichel was already blonde.
That's a bold choice, by the way.
Yeah, he was already blonde and had that blonde beard. But remember when he dyed it like silver, his hair and his beard, and he looked so freakish. I remember watching the match in the pub and was making an old couple laugh, just like saying things about him, saying it looked like he'd fell asleep. You know, like in the, like where they have like a big room, a freezer, and sometimes people can get locked in them. That's what it looked like. It happened to him. He looked like Jack Nicholson at the end.
Oh, I get what you're saying with the frozen beard thing. Yeah.
The white and the hair. Yeah. He looked like Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining, when he was all frozen. When he was like that, and his face was all grotesque, where he'd frozen outside. That's what he looked like, a bit like that. Anyway, aside from that, he was overrated and he was a twat and he played for Man United. And Robbie Fowler had his measure. Robbie Fowler knew how to beat him from any bloody angle, mate, with his head, with his right foot, his left foot, from a free kick. He had his number, mate, and Schmeichel hated it, and I loved it. It was dead funny. And I never did like him as a man anyway. I found him and when I see him as a pundit, he's a bore, not very verbose. Like, I don't like him. He's a shit pundit.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, we can move on. Let me see which one. Who we're gonna go with next?
You're up.
Um, I'm up. I'm up. I'm trying to decide on who I want to go with next here because I do have some names here. I'll go with defense actually, and I think this is a name that a lot of people probably had in the chat originally as probably being one of the poster childs for this for this uh, episode. But I'm gonna go with Mr. McGuire as being overrated. I understand the fact that he has since been demoted in stature with what he is supposed to be, but I just happen to think that I got you, Hash. I got you, Hash. You can stick with Tim Howard. I don't. I'm just playing with you. By the way, Friedel was a good Friedel was a good goalkeeper. But anyway,
Friedel was an amazing goalkeeper for Blackburn. He
yeah,
was
he
top
was really
quality.
good. He
He was
was
world
quality
class at
goalkeeper.
Blackburn. World class.
Um, but I'm gonna go with McGuire being my choice for defense. Um, I just happen to think that he leaving Leicester, he was so heavily rated. He was English. He was tall. He was a big guy, meaning like big guys in stature. Obviously, the amount of money that they spent on him. Obviously, Manchester United fans were expecting big things. Did he provide them? Not particularly. If anything, he's become a walking meme wherever he goes now, and it's an interesting case. The man's been a captain to being demoted, taking the captain of the band away from him, and still playing at that team. Um, it's one of those cases where I just think that this guy is just sad, sad, sad,
You
sad.
know,
And
you said he was big in stature. He reminds me of an ogre, from a children's tale. You'd expect to see
oh
a
yeah,
beanstalk behind him. Look at this
he
picture there.
is, he is,
The
he is a walking
beanstalk behind
Frankenstein. I
him
admit
there.
that.
He could definitely have just climbed down it, couldn't he? That's all I'm saying. Where's the beanstalk, Harry? Where's the beanstalk?
Hey
And
Norman.
Norm, that name is on my list. I just haven't gotten that name is on my list. I just have a lot of names. I'm trying to keep it to I'm trying to keep it to 10 people. That's why I haven't said that name. But that was an honorable. I guess that's one of my honorable mentions. And excuse me, Norm. But go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, Shrek McGuire. That's exactly what he could be called, is Shrek McGuire for sure. Um, let's go. I'm gonna go with this next man. This next photo shows who you have to blame and who you should point out. And wait, I don't want him to be pointing at me. He's actually pointing at me, so I might have to move my camera here.
This is
But
me, right?
it should be pointing up. Yeah, this is for Brian.
Am I next? Yeah, okay.
Um,
I don't know.
yeah, and that is Mr. Henderson.
I knew you give me him. You were going to put him on your list as well.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, but he was on your list. He was on your list as well. He wasn't just on my list, but I knew you'd give him to me.
No, I didn't. He got cut off my list. He didn't make my list.
Yeah, but he was on your list, didn't I? He was on your
no,
short
he wasn't.
list. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I'm looking at my list. He wasn't on there. I didn't have. I might have him early, but maybe. But he got.
Yeah, he got cut from your short list.
He didn't make the. He didn't make the
long list. Yeah, but he was on your list. So, I don't know. Everybody, tell me. I mean, is he again sticking by the overrated scenario? I mean, he's a player who is nowhere near as good as a lot of people who will should tell you better, think he was. He was very, very good for about 2 years, which means he meets the criteria. You have to be a top player to be really, truly overrated, to be told like, oh, no, he was one of the best ever. He was this, he was that. No, come on. He was good. Yeah, he was really good even. You might even have been a top player. But a top player, a truly overrated player is someone who was a top player, but people will look back and say, he was world class. He was world class. And they'll argue about it. No. They'll tell, like I've heard people say he's our best ever captain. I mean, for seriously,
What?
like that's why he's in our list. Like fucking Liverpool Football Club, you're going to tell me he's our best ever captain?
Not
Why?
even in the top five,
Why?
mate.
Because he won the Premier League? Because he won a European Cup? I mean, again, number one criteria. If he didn't play for us, would have we gone out and bought him? No, like we made him what he was. He didn't make us what he was. And there was a lot of fucking revisionism going around about how good he was when he left. And to me, he was someone who maximized the potential of all his talent. He was brilliant. He had a great career. But that's not what the question is. The question is, was he overrated? Or is he overrated? And I think he is overrated. And in again, like
Wow.
the Beckham terms, it's
Is
about
that
like,
what? Wait, is pops might be going against what you're saying there.
yeah, I know, I'm sure, yeah, but maybe, yeah. Look, how many captains have we had in the Premier, and the Premier it wasn't very good for us. But you know, I've heard people say no beyond that. But like I said, it's my criteria for overrated is someone who was really good, but people will try and tell you he was world class. He was this, he was that. For about 2 seasons, he was really, really good. When he got injured in that title running season, that made a big difference to us. That's the whole point. He was excellent, but he isn't as good as a lot of people say he was. So that to me means he's overrated, and that's why he's on my list. I'm not sure why the reasons he was on your list, but that to me is why. Really, really good player, but nowhere near as good as some people will try and convince you he was. So the very definition of overrated. And again, yeah, it was to show that I'll put Liverpool player on. It's not just about slagging off Man U players.
Pendo was very much
Okay.
appreciated. He did do
Okay.
great. He was captain and he did great, but he's not like one of our best captains. That's ludicrous to say that. Like it's just not true. But he was good, and he did a good
Well,
job. Blah 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 blah. Nobody ever said he was overly blessed with talent. Like that wasn't the point of Henderson. It was his organisational skills and his will to work, wasn't it? Like that made him the player he was.
let's move it to the blue
So,
then. Let's
Lee,
make it. Let's go from
you're up
red.
next.
Let's go from red to blue, and let's go from red to blue. Lee, you're up. You wanted to speak about this guy right here.
Edge, yeah, bloody hell, Wayne. Now Chelsea always spent loads on left backs because it's a specialist position. It's a position all rich clubs spend a fortune in left back, and they always piss me off because they could always have the best bloody left back. Like the way they got Ashley Cole off Arsenal and that, like they could always have the best. I know, just so many. They bought so many, but he was dog shit, Wayne Bridge, and he was dog shit for England as well. You know what I mean? He had like a brief flowering at Southampton, and Chelsea stormed in like and paid an exorbitant amount for him, like, and he just wasn't a very good left back, and that's all there was to it.
Then they got Ashley Cole.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. They had
Yeah.
so many. Chelsea had so many from all over the world. They must have had a left back from every country you could name, every country on the planet. They probably bought a
Then he
left
had
back.
the John Terry thing at Chelsea as
Yeah,
well. He
yeah,
had the John Terry thing.
didn't he? Like, but I mean, that's not nothing. I'm just saying he was a rubbish player, Wayne Bridge. You know what I mean? He was
Yeah.
just a crappy player, and there's no way an international class left back. Like, no way.
Well, like you said, man, just having a left foot back then gave you an advantage
It's
because it was
always been
just
a
so hard to get a left footer.
left back. You know what I mean? Rich
Yeah.
clubs pay the earth for good left backs. Like,
That was when Chelsea started their whole thing of, well, let's just buy all the good ones so no one
yeah,
else can have them.
yeah. We'll buy as many good ones as we can,
Yeah.
and hope one of them works.
So you're right. You're saying
Yeah.
he's overrated.
I just
Yeah,
Okay.
I think an underrated those at Chelsea on the other side at right back. Branislav Ivanovic, what a
Yeah.
player. Branislav Ivanovic was fierce, mate, and he was dead. He was dangerous in the box as well. And I hated him because he was good. You know what I mean? I hated coming up against Ivanovic.
He's massive.
Top
Massive.
defender him.
I have
Right.
a
So who's
name. I was going to
who's
stay
up
with.
next?
Yeah, I'm up. I was going to. There was a name. I was going to stick with the blue, but there is someone though that I really don't rate as heavily and highly as everyone, as a lot of people do. This is a name that I was going to put in there.
Yeah, Drenthe. What a story.
James Ward-Prowse. I do not rate. I think James Ward-Prowse is overrated. I'm sorry. I know that James Ward-Prowse, a lot of people rate him so heavily because of his efficiency at taking free kicks. I do equate that is an amazing, incredible talent, and he is one of the best of all time, certainly. But if we're just going to say someone is great simply because they have one individual talent that is
Beckham was a bit like
if
that.
anything,
Beckham was a bit of a
rarely
Ward-Prowse for me.
tapped.
Bit of a Ward-Prowse. Sorry to jump in, but
Yeah.
Beckham and Ward-Prowse are in the same territory in that they strike the ball well and little else, in my opinion.
I just
Premier
think. I
League
mean, I
norm.
think he's a good player.
Premier
I thought he's a good player, but there's a lot of
Oh, he played for everyone.
because people put his like so rate heavily his ability to take free kicks. They make it seem like he is like some world-class player, and he's not. He's a very talented free kicker. That's about it. In my
Do you know
Those-
when people were talking about us wanting to buy him? I actually was on board with us buying him, right? But I was looking at him going, when we were playing with the Klopp system at the start, I thought he would have been a brilliant backup for Trent. I thought because he can play right back, but yeah, like as a sub that could come on, I thought people were talking about him as like a £60 million midfielder, all that kind of
that
stuff.
was outrageous. That's outrageous.
Even
No,
Blackburn.
Literally as a Connor Bradley in our squad is what I would have taken him as. Bring him on, play him in cup games. Great, great at set pieces and all that.
Right.
But yeah, this whole
which would be
him
good.
as
I would accept that. That's great.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to say does he start
£60 million
in front of Trent just because he takes good free kicks?
No, but does he start in front of?
No, I know. I'm just going with what you're.
McAllister or Szoboszlai, even. That's what people are playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Buying to play in our midfield. Yeah. No, that's way too far. That's the back away from that one.
You could see Ward-Prowse as being like a poor man's Matt Letizia or something. Who was another Southampton player.
Yeah, I would have had him in the squad. It would have been nice to have on the bench, but yeah, no, he's right up there. Yeah, like literally £60 million midfielder. No, he should do what Letizia did. Just stay there and
I'm good.
Score.
There's lots of players like that who are just chiefly in the team to take the free kicks and the corners. You know what I mean? There's always been players like that.
Say what, Enzo?
When we go through the list of chat's suggestions, there are like a lot of names. I'm gonna try my best to get everyone's suggestions in the chat. By the way, in there. No, I won't hold any judgment. I'm not going to hold them to any judgment. We're super standards. It's your opinion. I'll go with what you said. In the chat for an overrated player. Now, especially if there's multiple. If there's multiple votes for the player, as in like there's a couple people that set the same name, I'll try to make a note of that as well. But I'm going to bring up Brian's choice for again, we're just hopping around a little bit more. So now I'm going to bring up a winger that we've been linked to, and one that I want to definitely have you understand is truly, even though he says he has red in his heart, he's somewhat of a blue. And anyway,
okay, Pop. Right, okay.
That is.
Oh yeah, and I don't. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I asked Pops a question. Oh yeah, he's in there. Yeah, and it's not super standards. It's not that. It's just that I thought we have some my understanding, and if people want to, go low. That's what I'm saying. But Pops, I was wondering because Pop said Lazo said ain't so. I was just going to say that you like that I wanted Jay. Yeah, I mean, yeah. When I said I would have taken him as a backup right back in a squad. I mean, I wasn't. It's just I would have happy to have him. Nice little squad player, can take a great free kick. But yeah, the hype around him way too much. But this guy again. So yeah, this to me is I put him in because of like to be more current, I suppose, like an overrated player.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, right now, I
Yeah,
think.
I never thought of him that way until I heard how much Newcastle wanted for him. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I've told you I've seen him so much because my dad supports Everton and lives above me in the flat above me. I've seen loads of Gordon, mate, in
Yeah,
Yeah,
the years before he
that,
joined Newcastle. I watched him week
I
in,
feel
week
you.
out sometimes because I'd watch footy with my dad, and he ain't that good a player, mate. He just isn't.
Right, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. Well,
Finish your
that's
thought.
why.
Finish your
Yeah,
thought.
so that's why. Yeah, that's why I put him in. I think he's. It's right now. It's kind of a bit of a symptom. Like if you said to me, Cole Palmer, right?
Yeah,
I'd say,
yeah.
yeah, okay. Because I don't know, as much as I hate pretty much everything to do with Cole Palmer, other than the person himself, because I've never met him, right? So I don't hate him.
Hmm. Hmm.
Obviously, I don't. But I hate frickin', Chelsea players, and especially overconfident English Chelsea players. They get up, they're just what we don't like, right? They're the ones you don't
Hmm.
like. Um, and he's all of that, but he backs it up. I mean, every time that guy he got on the pitch there in that game for England, within 5 minutes he created a chance and scored a goal, and then I mean, Christ Almighty, I don't know what Man City were doing leaving him go, and they want what we were being quoted half of for Gordon. Now they have no financial trouble. This Gordon is he's 100 million. I mean, this guy, okay, on the break, whatever, but I mean, seriously, Cole Palmer is a completely different level. So this guy has been talked about up there. He's good. This is why you have to be like I say, shit players aren't rated. Nobody thinks they're good. So I'm just thinking about people that are out there where everyone's saying this guy is absolutely brilliant. And this guy isn't absolutely brilliant. He's effective, he's decent, but nowadays in the Premier League, this is what that gets hyped up to, especially if you can play for England.
To put him
Palmer
up,
backs it up.
to
If
put him,
Palmer was Spanish, he'd get into the Real Madrid team.
yeah,
Like
put
Palmer would get into a Real Madrid team. Gordon wouldn't. He'd be in a Real Valladolid team. Palmer is the real deal as far as I'm concerned. This guy, he can back up all that arrogance and all. Nobody talks about him really that much. I don't know why. Um, Maybe they don't know where he plays or whatever. But this guy, you could go to the championship tomorrow with good scouting and good and obviously all you could find players better than Anthony Gordon in the championship tomorrow, and they cost you 6 million quid. This guy is just a good footballer, nowhere near. Yeah, what man? Newcastle fans, they'll probably tell you something along the lines of, "Why, I lad, you're not getting him for less than 90 million. He's as good as whatever." Come on, he's just a good footballer.
Okay.
If he wasn't English, no. If he was French, or whatever, they'd be like, they wouldn't talk about him in the papers. So, and apparently, by all means, I mean, it sounded like on day one that was as soon as their mini window closed, like there is no we're not buying it. We are not interested in that guy. We're not going near. That ain't gonna happen. So we should all rest easy on that one, I think.
Okay. That's easy. We only have about a few. We have like two more selections each left, and that's what we're going to bring up now. We're going to bring up. This is Lee's selection. Lee brought up
Who's Wilford?
this.
Wilford.
yeah.
Yes.
He was disappointing at Arsenal. I was a big fan of Sylvain Wiltord before he arrived at Arsenal, but it didn't get. He did do well, like it scored quite a lot of goals, but it didn't really happen. The idea was to put him with Henry, like obviously by Arsene Wenger, and he wasn't as devastating as he was for France and in France when he came here. But he wasn't going forward. But I think it just didn't happen at Arsenal, so maybe he could get it. I think like Veron, I was a big fan of Veron as well before he came to United, and then he was just not good at United. So Veron, Wilson, there's quite a few who I was like very much and Kaziragi I was a big fan of before he arrived at Chelsea,
Yeah.
and he was shit. he was unbelievably shit. Gigi Kaziragi at Chelsea, and I really did like him. So this was
Yeah, go
pre.
ahead, Nolante.
Yeah.
Throw your.
Send it in. Send it in.
But on Will
Um,
Tord, why specifically Will Tord overrated? Just to
yeah. Why
Just
specifically did you
I'm
have him?
picking him because it didn't really work for him at Arsenal, and it went that way for him at Arsenal. He was sold. It wasn't a success, the move.
yeah.
Same with Pierluigi Casiraghi at Chelsea. Same with Juan Sebastian Veron at Man United. 3 very good players who I really, really liked and rated. Came to the Premier League and it didn't work. Does that mean they're overrated? No, it just means the transfer didn't work. That's all.
Okay.
Right. That's one.
The next I have on my list. This one was a little bit. This one was an easy one for me because I remember, like, I remember this guy because I play FIFA and the likes. This guy was like one of the most highly rated young talents in the game. Like, when you're doing your career mode, sometimes you'll try to make transfers and you'll try to get the transfers of the players that are highly rated, but they're extremely young, so that you have a long run with the player at being a high level player. This guy, despite his cigarette habit, was a player that was highly rated. Played in red, even though I got him in yellow here, and that is Mr. Jack Wilshere. He was definitely a player that had huge promise. Was very, very big on, very, very high on the list of players that were supposed to be, the talk of the town and supposed to be, the next great players. In my mind, he never really got there, though. He just never really got to that level that was expected of him. Certainly didn't get to the level that was put on his FIFA score. I mean, this guy was racked like a 90 or something like that. He's like an 88 or 90.
The young Jack Wilshere was a prodigy, and that's why, because he looked like insanely good, and then it just all comes to a shuddering halt all of a sudden with injuries, and he never recovered, did he? Like, he was in the squad still for years, but like he hardly ever played, did he?
Yeah, he was in the squad for a long. I mean, even after that's the why too. Like, I get injuries definitely. I have impact on a lot of these players that we might be even talking about, but I mean, I just thought that for someone that had so much promise, I just thought that he was still seeing that he was going to meet that level. He was going to meet that level that was placed on him so early, and I just thought it was like overrated.
I was.
Oh, yeah.
So like the initial first flourishes of Jack Wilshere were beautiful. Like, and I do remember looking at him and thinking, "My God, that's going to be some player." But like we said, it just didn't take place, as it often doesn't in football.
Mm-hmm. But that was my choice. He actually reminds me of a player that another player that I have on the list too. But I'll move on real quick to Brian's choice. This guy is looked at as being the cream of the crop when it comes to midfielders today. He's also looked at as being world class, being looked at as a 100 million pound plus player. He is the poster boy for our thumbnail, Mr. Rice himself. Mr. Rice himself. It was copium. Was it? I don't know. I don't know if he picked up by the way, real quick, Pops. I don't know if he picked up the cigarette habit before the injuries or after the injuries, but I'm pretty certain that, his cigarette smoking habit wasn't exactly a surefire way to get yourself back into shape. At least that's what I would assume. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal any of your thunder, Brian. Go ahead with your Declan Rice.
No, but also back then,
it was more a lot of players doing it.
They all smoked. Yeah, he just got popped doing it.
Was that even though was that era cigarette smokers? I know like the 70s and like maybe even the 80s, but like
Well,
by like the
as
90s
I
and
said,
2000s, they'd already like they cut that out really.
well, no, I mean, I said it, and you said it yourself. He wasn't the only one. So no, it
Yeah, yeah,
wasn't everyone, but he wasn't the only one. Like he was the one that got popped. To me,
yeah.
for him, in terms of in rate, I think he was as good as everybody said he was. And yeah, he just did get destroyed by injuries. I think he actually was that good, unfortunately for him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just the way it goes. Uh, where are we? I was just reading something. Neilante was something with something. But
Yeah, he's
yeah,
talking
for
about
me, oh
how
Rice, yeah, right.
Jack
Sorry,
had
yeah,
many
Declan Rice.
injuries from going toe to toe with Iniesta and Xavi to being
Yeah,
in an England team that lost to Iceland. That's what he's saying.
yeah. No, for me, Declan Rice, I think very much overrated because I wanted. I mean, I picked. I don't know if people have noticed, but I picked a few
Hmm.
people. I picked as a kind of a theme for something else. And Declan Rice isn't just in this because he is overrated per se. It's more about um, how that role of player, that kind of footballer, is now massively rated as like 100, 120 million. Again, I'm not saying like I'm not rating him on his price, but he is basically overrated by a lot of fans and by how good he is. He performs really well. Again, like I'm saying, only the best players are getting into my list because they're the ones that get overrated so highly that I think they deserve to be mentioned. Everybody else, but the way I'm using this almost as a way of talking about how at the moment now you have this role where guys like him, who to my mind, as good as they are and as important as they are, shouldn't be 100 and 120 million pound players. You've gotten to this, it's the Guardiola type infection in football where midfield control, pass. Guys with very limited skill sets. Look at Declan Rice. He's a big guy.
Hmm.
He can get forward, he can run, but he's not a skillful player. He's not a technical player. You know, but these are the guys now who have become the most important players in these cogs in these machines, and I think he is a poster boy for how someone like that, as good as he is and as important as he is, now becomes venerated and built up to be something that they're not by this price because the Guardiola effect on football, where it's all about midfield control. The £100 million players should be the Neymars, the Ronaldinhos, the Haalands, the whoever it might be at the moment, the Salahs, not these guys. This is crazy that these kind of guys cost that kind of money. And they're overrated. I think to that. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. But I just think it's not just him. Whereas, yeah, I think he is overrated. He's decent, but he ain't fucking Patrick Vieira. He's not. He's not Michael Essien. He's not Roy Keane. He's good, but he's none of those players, and he's cost more in his life than these guys even did back then with inflation. They were, So for me right now, he is a really good player in a really good side, but this idea that they are now that thing, it's more about that, you know. Anyway,
Hmm.
so there you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay. Um.
Chelsea are the architects of a lot of this massive inflationary prices for midfielders after Enzo, aren't they? They went and screwed everyone by paying so much for Enzo. It was just like, oh mate, did you have to? You know what I mean?
Pops, I'm just saying that this is Declan Rice for me was a player who fitted into the category of both being overrated as a player, but also being emblematic and symptomatic of this £100 million holding midfielder era that we've moved into. I wouldn't have put him in my list. I know I'm not just saying it on price. I'm trying to be flexible here. I'm trying to make a couple of broader points as well, other than just saying I think, oh, I hate that guy. He's overrated. I'm just trying
Ooh,
to
I
say
know
it as well.
someone who
So
could be on this list too that we didn't put, but
you know, that's what I'm saying. But
I'll
like I
give
said,
out.
all these guys
I'll
have
give
to
out
be
some
good
honorable
players.
mentions. I'll give out some honorable mentions. Um, and because since we've named a bunch of names here, some honorable mentions. Emery Can. That was I'll go through some of the picks that either Brian or myself didn't get an opportunity to say.
Yeah.
Emery Can was a name that could have been in this list.
He was my pick. Emery Can was my pick.
Emery Can, yeah. I think that's the only name on your list that we didn't put out there. Let me double check. Yeah, Joe Hart. Yeah, I had also on my list. I had Roberto Soldado. I had Christian Benteke. I had Falco. I had I even hated saying this guy's name, but I had El Haji. He's a piece of crap. I also had Joe Cole as an honorable mention. Juan Sebastian Veron as an honorable mention. Who else did I have? I had Pickford as an honorable mention. I also had Jack Rodwell. And I had Grealish in this list too. Yeah, he is a douche. He is a douche. Doug.
Good to see you, Doug.
I had Joe Cole. I said Paul. Oh, I also had Mason Mount on this list. You know who could be also a name that I didn't have on this list, but we could put Calvin Phillips on this list too. We could put him as overrated. Do you think he matches up to being overrated under your criteria, Brian, too, as well?
Well, I don't know. Did everybody think he was brilliant and amazing and go on about him?
I mean, he was heavily rated. He was heavily rated.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying there's probably more. Can we put together an 11? We can definitely put together an 11.
We can put together 11 with this team.
We can start. I think everybody.
Let's try knocking out the 11 real quick. Let's try knocking out the 11.
Joe Hart, I think, walks in because I put him in. You put him in. The chat mentioned Joe Hart. I think Joe Hart.
I put Ramsdale in, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh, you had Rams, but you mentioned him in your honorable mentions.
But Joe Hart is a strong candidate. Yeah,
I had him, and he got good traction in the chat. I think Joe Hart, so I think he could be the keeper easily. Yeah. And then who was our
defenders? Defenders. How are we going to go defenders now? I think Maguire should be one of the defenders.
Well, who else did we have other than Maguire as overrated defenders? We had Reece James.
Reece James was one. Maguire was one. I don't know if you had many defenders.
I didn't have any. I had a keeper and I had midfielders and attackers. So
you had midfielders and attackers. You didn't have any defenders. How about from the chat though? Was there any names out there that were defenders that you would put in the list to make the 11? Because our defense is apparently. Varane was in there. I don't know if he was overrated.
Varane isn't overrated. Vidic isn't overrated.
He just kind of fell off. Maguire got a couple of shouts. I'm gonna put Maguire in because he got a couple of shouts.
Well, he's the only. I mean, we need 4, and we've only he's the only one. We
could do 3.
Lee picked Wayne Bridge. And Reece James. So you have 3.
Yeah, let's just go with that. Let's go with that. I'll give Reece James. I don't think anyone else has given any defenders. To be honest with you, other than Varane, that's the only one I see. Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka was one, and Luke Shaw.
Yeah, but now see, Luke Shaw was the first one that I consider would qualify for being overrated. I don't think anybody knew whether Wan-Bissaka was any good or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Maguire is getting in. Luke Shaw, Ruben Diaz. I don't think he's overrated. Just my opinion.
Oh, David Luiz. That's a
David Luiz.
Shout. That is a great shout.
Yeah, maybe.
Vidic is a shout. I told Nolante that was my shout. To tell you the truth, I had Vidic as I didn't want to go. I want heavily Red Devils. We could have done a whole overrated Red Devils segment
Vidic,
alone. But
Vidic is
I had
overrated.
Vidic. Yeah, I had Vidic as being overrated.
Vidic's too good, but
and only because you know why I've heard arguments for that
No.
that shout. That's why I wasn't on that committee. I was just someone that
No.
got swayed by listening to someone's argument about that.
Well,
That was
whoever
I think
they
it was
were,
on it was on Talk Sport. I know you're going to already shoot it down there, but I mean it was.
No, I can just say whoever said it, he's the first defender ever to win Premier League Player of the Year, not Premier League Defender of the Year.
Mhm.
He's the first defender ever to win
Yeah.
Premier League Player of the Year, which is voted, and the first player ever to win it twice. And this is in an era when Man United had Rio Ferdinand. There's a reason. There's a
I know.
reason why we talk about how Fernando Torres announced himself when he beasted Vidic and put him on his arse.
How about
Why? Because he was considered one of the best in the world. That's why.
How about we go with Cancelo? How about him? He could be overrated. Maybe no.
Leave this one up to the chat. I don't.
I know. I'm asking the chat. I'm not asking the panel. I'm asking the
Vidic,
chat.
sorry, you have Maguire. You have.
I have Maguire in. I have Reece James in.
So you only need one for back three. We only need
for
one
back
more.
Three, we only need one more. I'm just going by what
I like Luke Shaw. I like Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw is a shout.
It's gotten a few mentions. It has. I mean, they seem to.
I was thinking. I thought João Cancelo could be a shout simply because he was supposed to be. He's often
He's a great player. I don't know.
Stated as being compared to Trent and how he's over. It's like he's often deemed as he's some defensive juggernaut, but yet you see his numbers and you see him as an actual
he's
player.
A midfielder.
Necessarily go that way.
I'd go with Shaw. Cancelo is a very good player. I'd go with Shaw. Again, I don't know. It's about Gallas.
Shaw. Okay, so I'll go with the votes. I'll go with how many votes there are. I see Shaw, I see Cancelo, and I see
Gallas.
Ridge wasn't ever overrated. Sladhead, I know that's for Mount. Okay. Well, we can go. I don't mind getting outvoted on this one. I'll go with Shaw. So we have our back three, and it kind of works out because we can kind of go right back, left back, and have just a center back. That leaves us with the option of going with we can go with 4 midfielders. So who are we going with our midfield?
3-4-3, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we go with Beckham on the right? My pick for Beckham
That's
on
who
the right.
your nominee is for Beckham. Gonna have a lot of women out there not liking your choice there.
Yeah, well, no change there.
Not gonna be happy, especially posh. Who are we going for midfield here? Who are we going for midfield? Midfield.
That's my first shot. Anybody in the chat there?
We're going with we're going with primarily how the chat looks at it too. By the way, guys. So get your votes in here if you can get them in there.
No, but just in terms of chat, yes or no to Beckham on the right of the 3 or of the 4 in the 3-4-3. Beckham on the right.
Beckham on the right. Maybe I can give you some choices. Joe Cole, James Ward-Prowse, Jack Wilshere, Mason Mount, Juan Sebastian Veron, Paul Scholes, Jack Grealish.
No, but from our picks. I thought we were going from our picks.
Yo, I'm just yeah. I'm going with those. Some of those are my picks. I give those some honorable mentions, but I'm going through everyone's pick. Jordan Henderson, Emery Chan, Jack Grealish, Declan Rice. Those are all names out there. Just giving you guys some ideas. If you don't have any of your own, those are some of the nominees that we put out. Wilshere is getting a lot. Jack's got a shout. Scholes got a shout. I like it. Nolante, you're a scholar.
I'm surprised because
nobody did Scholes.
Seeing as I hate Chelsea so much, because I'm basing this mainly on my hate for Chelsea and Man United. They're the teams I'm looking at for picks. I can hardly think of any other clubs because I'm not asked about them enough to say their players are overrated that much. Like it's only Chelsea and United that are loathed. Their players are focused on, unfortunately.
Yeah. A lot of overrateds have go. Well, I mean, like, let's get it. Just overrated is somewhat synonymous sometimes with some portions of the history of the Red Devils as of late.
Thing with Chelsea is
Who
it's
we going
end
with? We got 4 midfielders to go with here. Who we going with midfielders?
all the world's best
Jack
players.
Grealish isn't necessarily a midfielder. He's more of a wing, a forward, but he could be a midfielder. Who are we going? David Beckham, I have in the list. Who are we going with the other three spots? Who's another? You have another nominee, Brian?
Gigs.
Did you feel strongly should be?
Well, no. What I thought we were just doing was we were going to pick it from the ones that we had listed, and then from the picks that we had done, and then we'd fill in the gaps afterwards. So who do I have left in midfield that I picked? I picked Beckham. I picked Declan Rice.
You have Beckham, Henderson, Chan,
Rice.
and Rice. Those are the 4 choices that you have.
So, yeah, those would be my 3. So those are the options that I put out there. So if I fill in the 3 out of them, I'd have Henderson first, I suppose. So he'd be my pick.
Yeah.
Next.
Fred was a midfielder, Bernie. Fred was a midfielder. Go ahead. I'm listening.
No, that's it. That'd be me. That'd be my next pick. So I don't know. Those are the 3 choices I have.
Wait, Hendo is your second? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I know. But so if we're opening up to the vote, but he's my vote anyway for the second place. In midfield,
for who you want. Yeah. We're just gonna put out who you want to nominate. Yeah, that's how I was doing. Like, put on who's your strongest. Who you want the strongest?
Yeah, he's my second one. Anyway. If Beckham is already in, so my next choice up would be Hendo.
Okay. Do you have a suggestion, Lee?
For the midfield.
Yeah, for midfield.
For what? Yeah. Okay.
No, he
Lampard,
said no.
Henderson.
Lampard.
He said Lampard.
All right.
So, chat. What do you think? People in chat. Who do you like? This next up? So we're playing a 4-3-3 or 3-4-3. We've got the right hand side. That's Beckham. So if we're going into the middle, so who's the first central midfielder? I'm saying Henderson. Lee's saying Lampard. 12th man is saying.
I'm gonna say, jeez.
And it has to be someone that was on your list, by the way, that you did in your top, or whatever, how many we did. It has to be one of those guys. Who did you have for centre mids?
I mean, I only gave one person on my list out of the names that were nominated. The only person I talked about was James Ward-Prowse. I didn't talk about any of the other players.
Gotta be him. So he's your shout then. James Ward-Prowse. So James Ward-Prowse. I know, but James, it could be the first. So we can do it this way. Because we've got one each. So chat, is it Lampard, Henderson, or James Ward-Prowse?
I like Scholes being in there too. Because
you should have put him on your list then. You should have put him in your top 10.
Oh man. What are we doing, chat? I'm looking at the chat here.
Or we could just put all 3 in and that would fill out the midfield.
Who's a pastor? I didn't know that.
You could just put all 3 in and that would fill in your midfield. We could put in Ward-Prowse.
I have Lampard already in there. Lampard got shouts earlier from the chat. We'll go with I would prefer to have Scholes than have James Ward-Prowse, to be honest with you, if I was going to pick a name. But
you didn't do a Scholes thing though. You didn't have him on your list, man.
I had him
put him on your list. You had, but you didn't do him on the show. I mean, you didn't put him on your thing. So, but I could say I have a list of people beside me that I want to pick from.
You
Thomas
can do what
Gravison.
you like.
Pops.
It's, you know,
Pops. Did
do what
anybody
you like.
really rate Thomas Gravison, Pops? Come on, man. Other than
Thomas
Real Madrid
Gravison?
for whatever reason.
That's a name there, Pops.
I know Real Madrid, they went out and for whatever reason.
Well, I'm gonna sneak Skulls in by the fact that Bonkers nominated him, and so Nolante nominated him earlier too. And I put James Ward-Prowse, I put Frank Lampard, and I put David Beckham.
Yeah, he went to Real Madrid, man. I know they Real Madrid still don't know why that happened. There's still people looking around the office going, "Who was it to sign Thomas Gravison?" I mean,
wow,
that was a strange time.
Youssef with the shout. That's good. That's an interesting one. Yeah, Jimmy got me with the JWP. I think he's super overrated.
Ledley King was never overrated.
We have our midfield: David Beckham, Frank Lampard, James Ward-Prowse, and Scholes. Going on to the forwards, that was where we nominated a lot of names on the forwards list. There was a lot of names were listed. Theo Walcott, Robbie Keane, Marcus Rashford was a nominee. Anthony Gordon was a name out there.
I think Rashford has to get in on that left side.
Andy Carroll was a name. Anthony was a name out there. Who do we put in as our three nominees for forwards?
Well, I'm putting up Rashford anyway.
Rashford is his shout. Is Brian's shout.
Yeah, I won't. That's all I'll do. I'll just pick one of my guys and I say my pick is Rashford for the three. So Lee can pick or whatever you want, but whoever your main pick, Lee, for the striker role, your most overrated striker.
Eric Cantona.
But that you had earlier on. Who did you have earlier on?
You're gonna go by.
No, but the list. I mean, I'm not saying like
Irish list.
But no, his list. I mean, the list you put in. Well, yeah, your list from earlier on. I thought that was
I don't think he put in any. I don't think he named any.
I don't think he. No, he put in Wiltord. He put in Wiltord. I was looking. I knew. Yeah, he put in Wiltord.
I think that was the only name that you had in there.
That was your only forward.
Frenchman and give Cantona the nod.
He was overrated. Think Cantona was overrated?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Who are we going with? Who are we going with as our striker though? Pepe.
Well, I've had my shout. He's had your shout. What's your shout for striker for the third? It's an open spot.
I mean, there's no striker. I think I'm the only person that named him.
You went with Andy Carroll. You went with Andy Carroll.
Or Robbie Keane is absolute.
Yeah, I had Robbie Keane as well. I had Robbie Keane and I had Rashford. They were my strikers. So, but I would. That's what I was saying. Out of the two, if I had only to pick one, I would be putting Rashford up because I think he's more overrated and definitely he's more overrated than Robbie Keane is. Yeah, so he'd be my one pick if I could only pick one.
All right, so
it's a hell of a.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have to go with Carroll then, since that's the only one. If we're going by your rules, that's the only one.
Well, no, it's not my rules. I thought we were picking from the list that we did. I'm not saying they're my rules. I just thought that's what.
No, only because Ben Teke.
You didn't get to do the other ones. I get it. Yeah.
I gave honorable mentions, but like
So hang on. So what's our front three then? Sorry.
So our front three would be Rashford, Andy Carroll, and Gordon.
No, not Gordon. I think who are you picking? The Wiltord, is it, or Cantona?
Well, he picked the only two players that he picked.
So which? But well, I was going to allow him Cantona if he wanted it. Do you want to?
He picked Gordon and he picked
We can ask him.
Yeah,
Lee, who do you want up front?
He picked Gordon and he picked that. That's why I picked him. But there's Gordon shouts in the chat too, by the way.
But Lee, who would you pick for your?
Who would you pick?
For the three up front.
The front three for you. No,
you got one selection. You got to pick a forward. We got Rashford and Andy Carroll. Who's your third? Who's the third on this list?
And you had Will Tord and
Yeah,
as you said, Cantona after.
you can't be Carroll then, since that one's
But no, we can't
personal.
have them twice. No. You have to pick someone else.
It's so
We
nice we had
already
to pick
have
them twice.
Carroll.
There you
We
go.
already have Carroll. We have Carroll, and we have Rashford. So who's your other one to pick after the third?
Eric Cantona.
Okay, cool.
On the
So
subject of Cantona, the best thing was in his final season when he knew he was leaving, United got to the Champions League semi-final and got beat by Dortmund, and his face when they went out was dead funny. I really enjoyed Dortmund beating them on the way to winning it in '97, because that was Cantona's last hurrah and his last chance to win the Champions League.
I'm gonna give Bernie hitting my boy Super Mario in the face.
it's a lot easier to pick underrated players. I'm telling you, I don't know how this 11 is gonna like at the moment. How is this 11 lineup? We've got
this 11 is this 11 is actually a really good 11. Actually, to be honest with you, not that bad. It's got some holes. It got some weak spots, but it's got like Joe Hart at goal, Reece James, Maguire, and Shaw in the back line. So all Red Devil back line, basically. Or not shooting all Red Devil, right? Reece James is a blue. And then it's got David Beckham, Frank Lampard, James Ward-Prowse, and Scholes. And then it has Rashford, Cantona, and if you're going to go Cantona,
Andy Carroll. Well, you put in Andy Carroll. That's what we've done now. That's the front three. Right. And we're supposed to be the overrated is supposed to lose against the underrated. So I mean, the underrated, is supposed to. I mean, I found it a lot easier to pick underrated players who are clearly brilliant, but then overrated players. So I'm struggling a lot for overrated players, to be honest with you. Most players are just really good. It's hard to find someone that people are just, he's the best player I've ever seen in the world, ever, and they're not that good. Most players, so. I think the underrated. I still think the underrateds will be a better team. I'm calling it now. I still think the underrated 11 will be a better team because most people, it's easier. They'll name better players. Like I could name an underrated 11 in about 2 minutes. It took me ages to get an overrated one.
That's a brilliant shout in the chat, Phil Jones.
Phil Jones is definitely. This team is dodgy enough to win everything, Jimmy. I know, right? I know.
You wouldn't want to be relying on those two outside fullbacks or outside defenders. Reece James and Luke Shaw, 30 minutes into the first game of the season, both off injured.
Yeah, the back line is
janky, man. It's janky.
Yeah,
it's ready to go,
to say the least. I know he got some quote unquote legends in the midfield, but yeah, we got to pick a better person than Cantona, though. Cantona cannot be the choice. Even I wouldn't.
Well,
that's.
I mean,
that's too much. But anyway,
well, go with Will Tord then. The other one there was Will. Okay, well, we've got. Sorry, Lee. We're going to have to overrule it. We're going to have to open up a spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to open up the spot. I would like to open up the spot since technically Lee did not have a he had one forward, but I'll give the chat a chance to put a forward a winger.
Overrated.
That's overrated. Overrated.
Not
forward.
Somebody you don't like. Not somebody you don't like. Someone that people say is brilliant, and you don't think he's that.
But brilliant it's said to be brilliant, but is certainly not the case.
So come on, we've got like Lee. Even if you want to,
we got like 5-10 more minutes of the show.
Overrated.
We can get this last pick in here, so at least the 11 looks like an actual overrated 11. I got Andy Carroll. We got Rashford. Who are we putting in that final spot? Who are we putting in that final spot?
You've got 25 years. You've got nearly 35 years now, the Premier League. So who is there's got to be plenty of them out there. You see, that's the thing as well. that's what I was saying. Like when you start trying to think about it, it is actually harder. It's so easy when name an underrated player
If you're
because
gonna just
everyone's like,
go for a
oh,
right
this guy,
winger
that guy,
too,
that
it's
guy.
especially harder because I mean you're going with a specific position.
Yeah,
It makes it very hard.
any kind of striker, attacking midfielder, we can throw him in.
Yeah,
Matt Letizia, overrated, really rated. I think. I think
bonkers,
rated. I
bringing
think
out
just
the heavy
properly rated.
guns.
I
Don't
just think
don't
he was properly rated.
don't let
He's not
Irishman
overrated.
change your opinion.
No,
Dude,
it's only one, but I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying change your opinion. I'm just saying what I think when I come. To me, Matt Letizia, if you're asking me, rated, not underrated, not overrated, just rated. He was as good as they said. Um, who else? Who else
just
did
need
I
one
have in
more.
my
Just need
mind
one more
when
so
I
we
was
can
thinking?
one more to finish this off. Just need one more name. I can give you some choice. I mean, there Alexi Sanchez. I can give you guys some hints or at least some suggestions. Sanchez, Falco.
Falco. Oh, yeah, he was good. I thought he was good. Overrated. Who was like kind of?
Um,
He's gonna be the thing. He's gonna.
again, Roberto Soldado, the Spur former Spur, Hotspur.
Yeah, he was just a signing that didn't work out. He was very good before he came here,
Yeah.
Soldado.
What's
Yeah.
funny is that his name was mentioned yesterday as overrated. When we brought up that we're going to be doing this show, someone said his name, and I said
Yeah.
I asked him not to go into dropping names because he was one of the names at least on my preliminary list here. Sterling. Ooh, you might have a little pushback
No.
from
Oh, this
Brian
was
on that
only a
one,
loan
but
sign, but João Felix for Chelsea. What was all that
Lee
about?
Dowler.
Hmm.
Felix at Chelsea.
Yeah, Super Mendy.
Oh, Barney.
Bernie just had a good meal. She's sitting there just having a laugh now. Oh, that's a funny one. That's a good one, Bernie. Oh man, Pogba could be a shout too. Pogba could be a shout.
See what
Uh,
I'm saying? It's actually not that easy to pull out like genuinely, you know, ticks all the boxes for overrated players because it's the Premier League in the last 20 years because the amount of
mhm,
money going around. Even the best players, like even the Varans and the Shevchenkos and these kind of people, it's like they didn't do it in the Premier League, but look what they did everywhere else. It's sort of even those players.
mhm.
Um, so I'm just trying to like even like to me, someone like Gary Neville might come up there, but then it's like as a forward, you see, it's hard for like someone. Um, I think maybe kind of slightly overrated.
What are we doing?
I
I
know
think
we're trying to find
maybe
them. This
we're just
isn't
have to
easy.
go
I'm
with.
not
I'll
sure
go
this is
with
great. This isn't great content. Jimmy. It's like like what are they? Those psychology tests. But those psychology tests are they called like word association? When like a psychologist will say something and it's just like say the first thing that comes into your mind, right? So we'll do this with the
Mm,
chat, right? So anyone in the chat. So when someone says overrated striker, what's the first name that comes into your head? Lee, what's the first name that comes into your head? Overrated striker. First name.
Gordon for me.
Okay, Gordon.
Mm, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just kick it. I'll say Drogba, right, just to be controversial because he isn't overrated. Yeah,
Ooh.
Jimmy. See, Jimmy is Harry Kane. Jimmy's saying Harry Kane is overrated. That's what you want. That's exactly the kind of response that you want. The kind of thing that as soon as you say it later and you go, oh, well, no, actually, that wouldn't be. But yeah, first thing. So that's a Harry Kane shout. I say DDA Drogba, even though I know I'm wrong. He's not overrated. But
Mm-hmm.
um, so
I still stick with Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon. Okay, so that's one for Gordon, one for Drogba, one for Harry Kane. Lee. Dwight York.
Lee is struggling there. I see Lee like trying to search for a name there.
I'm just trying to think of all clubs that I haven't thought of. I don't know. Fabio Silva. He hasn't worked out for Wolves, has he?
Oh, that kid they bought. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah,
They
he
hope.
was meant to be like a wonder kid. João Felix was poo at Chelsea on his loan, wasn't he? João Felix on loan from Atletico Madrid. And he cost
I
about $100 million, didn't
I
he?
know, Pops. I'm sorry, Pops. I didn't mean that. I was just trying to, like, create a spark. Do you know? I was just because Lee was falling asleep. I was just trying to, throw a name in there.
My mind really went stagnant trying to think of
Yeah,
strikers.
I could see that happening, so that's why I just threw a name at you. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, Pops. I forgot he is a
Spark
fellow.
created.
He is a
Yeah.
fellow Barbadian.
Or Spire created with that one.
Or
I bet.
fellow Asian.
Where we going? Where we going?
Franny Jeffers. There's a shout.
There's a show.
There's a shout. Fox in the Box, the original Fox in the Box.
Box.
Trinidadian. I knew I was wrong as soon as I said it, Pops. I do apologize. I knew I was
Let
wrong.
me see if I can get a picture of him.
Dion Dublin, there's a shout. There's a shout. Stairs up to the bedrooms, as he says. The Fox in the Box, Pops knows, man. He knows. Didn't work out like that. More like a fox in a pen of some kind. I don't know, but didn't quite work out like Wenger expected to.
Oh yeah, dude, I do remember Dion Dublin. I do remember that guy.
Yeah,
That's
Home's
a
under the
shout.
hammer, man. He does one of those home regen
That
shows.
is a
You know those.
shout. It's annoying. Yeah,
Well,
definitely
you
shout.
see, the reason Lee is talking about Eric Cantona earlier on. The only reason they bought Eric Cantona is because he broke his leg. They bought Dion Dublin as their new star striker, and he was going to lead the line for them. He was only like in really early in the season, and he broke his leg. 1.5 million, going to lead the line. Ferguson needed a new striker. Leeds rang up, totally out of the blue, unconnected. Leeds contacted Manchester United, asking if Dennis Irwin was available. Dennis Irwin, the left back, and they said no, we're not going to sell you him. And a conversation kind of started happening between the directors, and it became aware that Cantona was available for £1 million. And Ferguson was like kicking your man under the table, going, do it, do it, do it. And so they bought Cantona for basically no money, who transformed Manchester United into winning their first ever league title. The Premier League made them the club they are, all because Dion Dublin broke his leg and Leeds wanted to buy Dennis Irwin. So, yeah, football,
I'm surprised. I am surprised that Anthony didn't get another shot. That was one of my sources too. But who we're going with this third thing, so we can allow for the people to finish their bottles of wines and enjoy their Friday evenings.
I don't know who we go.
Who's the third choice here?
We've had lots of individual. I don't know. We haven't had a.
I don't think we haven't had any duplicates. We've had individual shouts,
exactly.
But no
They're all
duplicates.
single. Well, look, you're the man. So you make the call.
Trying to see who else. Anyone else? Any other names? Anthony doesn't ring. I'm surprised Anthony didn't get a shout. I should have nominated Anthony rather than Andy Carroll. To tell you the truth.
Craig Bellamy. What was a few names I mentioned there?
Yeah.
Earlier on. I'm not sure.
Yeah. There you go.
Franny.
What was the
Throw Franny Jefferson. Look, Pops is a friend of the channel. Pops is a friend of the channel. So in solidarity with the Bajans, throw in Franny Jeffers. Give it to Pops. give it to Pops. He used to play for Everton. He used to play for Arsenal, so we can laugh at him.
There you go.
They broke the transfer record.
I was about to say Downey, Bernie. That's a good shout.
Stuart Downey.
Stuart Downey.
Stuart Downing. Yeah, I don't never. Yeah, no, I think. Well, look, they paid 10 million for Jeffers when 10 million was like more than. Yeah, that was like 70 today. For this guy, he's the fox in the box. He's going to change it all. He's going to score all the goals, and he scored none of the goals, and left for like nothing. So, I think he's a good shout. I think it's a good shout.
So I'm gonna put in Granny Jeffries
Yeah,
here.
it was very depressing, pops. I remember exactly where I was when the name came through. I was working in a kitchen in London in a restaurant out the back, and there was this. It was
This
just
is
a
the
radio
list.
on, and Downing. The name came out. We signed Stuart Downing, and that was like, wow, we don't want to win anything ever again. Great.
Yeah. This is the list. Rashford, Carroll, Jeffers, Beckham, Lampard, Ward-Prowse, Scholes, James, Maguire, Shaw, and Hart is our 11 of overrated players. Our overrated 11. That is the names that we will be carrying in to the game against the underrated players. It was interesting. I came up with a lot more overrated than I came up with underrated. So we shall see. We shall see how this works out. But today is Friday, so of course that means some people will be getting their Friday on. So be careful, be safe, and have fun. Um, do you have anything that you want to say to the people before we allow for them to get their Friday on? Shake their tail feathers. Lee, do you have anything you want to say or anything you want to bring up before we do?
No, just that I enjoyed it, and thanks for everyone for joining in. Good to see what people's ideas were of overrated players, underrated players, flops and flips, flops, and otherwise.
Okay. And Brian, do you have anything that you want to say to the people before we allow for them to cause some mischief?
No, just enjoy your night, enjoy your weekend, and if you want to come back and do the underrated bit, get thinking, get a few
We're
11s together in
thinking.
here, a few names, whatever you want to do, because it
Yeah,
will be
get
a
your
thing.
list.
So
Get
it'll
your
be an
list out.
11, be an 11.
Get your
And my
list. Get
money,
your
I'm
list.
putting it early. I'm putting it early that the underrated 11 will be victorious. That's my early shout.
We'll see. This overrated team is not that bad, but we'll see. We'll see. Certainly overrated, but I would say they do definitely do have some skill players. We'll see how it works out. But we are going to let you guys go. We're coming up on the 3-hour mark. Great show as always. Thank you everyone that joined us today. We will be back tomorrow. I will be able to do a show tomorrow, so we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have an update on the Zuby, or any of the ongoing saga that is Zubamendi tomorrow. Hopefully, we have an answer or some type of promising message that we're going to be able to move on and get forward. It'll also be it will also be the Community Shield is tomorrow. So
Yay!
yay. So what will definitely be going down is we'll do our best to do you know what time the game is for the Community Shield tomorrow?
Oh, they used to do it at like 3 o'clock on a Sunday, but now it's on a Saturday. It's probably like at
Yeah.
5. I don't know, man. Really don't know. Are you coming in? Or are you going out? I mean, make your fucking mind up.
Uh,
I don't know. Probably 5, like
okay, it's on
UK
super
time,
early.
maybe.
So we'll have a review of the game by the time we go live. We'll have a review of the game because it's at 7 a.m. my time, so that's not
No, that must be
happening.
3 o'clock. What's that? 7. Yeah, that's 3, 8,
About that.
8. Yeah, 3 is 8. Yeah, it's 8.
Mhm.
And, yeah. Um.
So
Okay.
yeah, I will. We'll do like a review if you guys get to watch it. but we'll also, we'll have some updates. We'll talk Community Shield, talk about what. Hopefully, we'll get to talk about how bad the Red Devils look. But other than that, it's just about good vibes in the house tomorrow, hopefully. And I hope that you'll be joining us tomorrow. Appreciate everyone doing so today, especially. And last but not least, let's just give a big shout and say up the Reds as always. Up the Reds. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.